Hey, it is Dan here from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I am joined by Scott, Rob, and Lucas to talk all things Money in the Bank. And we are here to do our preview and predictions for Money in the Bank 2023, which is from right here in London. See you in a minute. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Oh, so we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and we are here to talk WWE Money in the Bank 2023. Boys, we used to say this during the summer, it's coming home, but wrestling's coming home, isn't it? Coming to old Blighty over here in London, literally just across the water there. Lucas, probably just like outside your door, I think. But yeah, we are going to be talking about a show here in the UK that's actually going to be at a reasonable time. But yeah, we will actually be attending Rebellious Noise, and yeah, we hope to be joined by a few of you guys. And if you are in the area for Money in the Bank, pop along, say hello. And I'm sure Scott will say all pints are more than welcome as well if you want to buy.
I thought you said I was going to buy them a pint. I was like, steady on, mate. I ain't committed to this. But yeah,
if you guys can't stretch to a trophy for your champion, then
it's in the post. It's in the post. But yeah, no, really excited about this. And like you say, if anyone's around, come and say hello to us around the O2. So yeah, we'll have a Rebellious Noise kind of crew over the weekend there. And we'll be doing live content outside. So a few fan interviews. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on this channel, and of course our social spaces as well at RNPW Wrestling. If you do want to kind of come and see us in person and be interviewed, we'd love to meet up with some of you.
And we will actually be around for SmackDown as well, which is on Friday night. So yeah, pop along at some point Friday, and yeah, you should see at least one of our ugly mugs there. Unfortunately, though, you won't know what Rob looks like under the mask. So unless he's got that on, then
it'll be on. Don't worry.
Maybe a little bit conspicuous, but yeah, I don't think security will take too kindly to geezer walking around in a mask. But when they see the face, they'll definitely be like, "Put it back on."
Put it back on.
Hey.
Yeah, we've got a couple of comments here just to start with. Cameron saying hi. So hey, mate, thank you for joining us. Also thinks that Seth is going to win Money in the Bank. I don't think so, mate.
You never know. You never know.
Well, stranger things have happened, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not actually scheduled for Money in the Bank match, but we will get into the Seth Rollins match a little bit later on in the show. We've also got someone here hearing that Elton John is performing. Well, if it was a different company that we were going to actually be talking about, then we would say that Saturday Night's all right for fighting. But that is obviously...
It's got an allegiance. But saying that, look, I've seen some good things about Elton John's performance the other day at Glastonbury. I know Lucas was a big fan.
Yeah.
I've kind of gutted that I'm not going to get to see it. So if he did make a surprise appearance at Money in the Bank, didn't expect us to be saying this during the pod, by the way, then I'd love to see it.
I can see Elton climbing the ladder, pulling the briefcase down. Mind you, I mean there will be an Elton that will be on one of the shows on SmackDown. Elton Prince, someone who you, Lucas, know very, very well. Elton Prince.
Yeah, I mean it's bonkers. I think where he's come from, obviously to now. Even weirdly, the last time we went to one of these things, Wembley, where Scott. You very much enjoyed the free bar.
Hey, come on. You enjoyed the Diet Coke and the food. Come on.
Yeah. Me and him were first up at the buffet. I'll put him out of the way.
But I remember bumping into Lewis Howley, as he was known then, backstage. There was a lot of the NXT UK stars that were in attendance at Wembley event. I think it was like a main roster, like a Raw event, wasn't it? It felt like a Raw.
Yeah, it was
a house show, wasn't it?
It was a house show. It was all Raw SmackDown, but
live event. Sorry, live event.
Yeah, I can't remember which brand it was.
Lashley.
Yeah, Kevin Owens. And I think it was.
I think they do them as mixed now, but they're mixed.
Yeah,
they're not Raw and SmackDown specific.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that was obviously pandemic led versus obviously where. But yeah, I remember bumping into him. So obviously he was backstage with that, and now to think he's just down the road, the O2 Arena, and wrestling for the tag team championships, which is just like, it must be kind of mind blowing for a lot of the wrestlers on the card. We're seeing a lot of new faces, aren't we? Not just obviously British faces, obviously a lot of new faces across the board as we're going to get onto. And lots of people making their debuts, I think, on pay-per-views, I think, even on this event.
It must be quite proud for you as well, because, I mean, for the viewers that don't actually know, Lucas is head trainer at one of the UK's longest-running training schools, the Dropkicks Wrestling Academy, and a certain Elton Prince is probably one of your more standout names that you personally have had a hand in training as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Lewis, when he started, back in, I want to say like 2010. So yeah, about 2009, 2010, was in Tilbury. He used to live quite locally. And he started off obviously doing the British catch can style wrestling, and then he transitioned to some more pro kind of stuff after that. But yeah, like to see him go from obviously strength to strength, firstly over here, and then obviously for NXT UK, and then for obviously NXT in America, and now on the main roster, it's been really, really positive, and really, really cool to see. He genuinely is like a really nice guy as well. Like he genuinely is, and he deserves all this stuff that success that he's having. And I think it's fantastic. Obviously, we'll get to my thoughts on the match a bit later on, but I think the moment is going to be a really good one. And hopefully,
hey, Star's back.
The star of the show.
But hopefully, it will be a very, very good tag team contest. 3 tag matches, actually, isn't there? Actually, on Money in the Bank.
Well, no, that's not on Money in the Bank. That's actually on SmackDown.
Oh, it's on SmackDown. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's not on the Money in the Bank card. That's why I thought we'll talk about a little bit about that first.
It is weird though, because they feel like, I'm not sure if I like it, but because they feel almost like a 2-night event now, don't they? With a SmackDown, kind of like Montreal. I remember my big thing was like, we've had the pop with the theme song for Sammy. Why are we doing it twice? I kind of it leaves a few of those awkward scenarios, but then again, it's all about the money.
See, the thing is, I'm not a massive fan of them recording the episode of SmackDown like the week in advance.
That's not great either. So, what do you do?
Because the thing is, it's either try and get... Because, that's going to be on the Friday night. It's a 9-hour flight from the... Unless they have 2 separate teams. So they have like a B team that kind of... B team, rah, that will actually wrestle the SmackDown show. And then you have, obviously, the people that are actually on the PLE pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, doing that. Because it's a long old flight, as we know, like from going over and covering events out in the States as well.
Yeah.
So we've spent a good 8 minutes talking about stuff that's not Money in the Bank related necessarily. So shall we get into predictions of Money in the
weekend, isn't it?
It does, yeah. It's really good. And also, as Scott did mention previously as well, do check back on this channel. We should hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be bringing you some interviews as well with some of the WWE stars, some of the stars, hopefully, of Money in the Bank as well. So keep your eyes peeled on this channel for that.
Of course, we've got our own Lucha star here, as Cameron's pointed out. Rob looking like Rey Mysterio again. Just want to quickly say hello to Sludge Sports for joining us as well. Thank you so much for coming back, mate. We appreciate all of you, whether it's live or on demand, and especially you that subscribe and do return. Of course, Andy Spores here. Evening, lads. Another point is that the Raw roster is scheduled to be up in Newcastle on Friday night too. That's a good point. They're doing those little house shows along the week. I think Newcastle, Liverpool, and maybe Sheffield might be the other one. But yeah,
I think they're missing a trick by not doing Raw from up north on the Monday. Because then you could have covered every basis of obviously having the live event, the TV and pay-per-view in London, and we are the bigger market. Sorry, Northern fans, we are the bigger market, so it's going to happen. But then obviously going to a Northern market to get them Raw straight afterwards. So because they would sell. Like, it's been proven that they will sell.
Oh, in Scotland, work your way down, isn't it?
I think the idea is that a lot of people traveling for the PLE, probably from Europe and stuff like that. But of course, that goes into the whole thing of it should have been in a bigger venue anyway. I do think next time they'll do a lot of things very differently. But there we go. It's going to be fun either way, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, Rob, are you all right there? You've not frozen already.
Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, he's there.
He's drinking it in, man.
He's just like
I've just travelled. I've been in 15 to 20 minutes, and it's been a mad rush trying to get everything on. So like, I'm just letting you guys do that while I just digest. You know what traveling is like? It's awful, man.
It's all that jet lag, isn't it, from Mexico coming over.
Yeah, Mexico City to Costa del Dagnum's a bit of a trek.
Yeah, trying to get through customs with that mask on, being like, no, this is my real face, mate.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
On the passport.
All right, so let's. The reason we are here, obviously, is to predict Money in the Bank 2023. Let's have a quick throw to the table after Night of Champions. Ooh. We have Scott sitting at the top with a near perfect 13 out of a possible 14 points so far. Me sitting in second place on 10, Lucas on 9, and Rob on 7.
Oh, I forgot. I thought I did get a clean sweep on the last one. I thought I had 3 in a row clean sweeps.
No, we've only had 2 PLEs this year, mate.
Have we not? Yeah, Backlash, Night of Champions.
Night of Champions.
Yeah, they were both clean sweeps, weren't they? What did I get wrong?
I think there was one that
got a bonus point as well.
Oh yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's why. Because it's 7 and 6. That's why. It's like I was like, hang on, is it always 7? No.
Yeah, no. Anyway.
But anyway, yeah. Let's get into the predictions. As ever, it is. We are going to roll a dice. If it lands on number 1, I predict first. Number 2 is Scott. Number 3, Lucas, and number 4 is Rob. So let's roll the dice and let's see who predicts the first match. It will be number 2.
Hey,
Scott, you are picking first, and the first match is Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah. Okay. So, I had a little sneak peek of the run sheet here and what we were going to talk about first, and I thought, you know what, I want to go first on this one. As soon as the graphic came up, I went, I'm not sure. All week I've been like, of course Cody's winning, but there's so much going on with the Judgment Day that maybe. But that's only going to be if there's like a bit of a screwy finish or something like that, which Cody has had enough of. But there's rumors about them doing that to Cody. So crap, it is kind of harder than I thought. But I'm going to stick to my guns and say, like, overall, you'd imagine Cody would win the feud, I guess, and I don't think it's going to be much longer than just this PLE. So for that reason, I guess I'm just going to go straight with Cody. But I wouldn't be surprised, actually, now that I think about it, if there was a kind of screwy shenanigans finish and Dom did come out on top. But hey, I'm locked in now. Cody Rhodes.
Cool. Round to Lucas.
Yeah, this feels a bit like the year that John Cena lost to The Rock at WrestleMania, and obviously afterwards he kind of had a fair few losses actually after this, and they obviously built Cena back to the next year, and obviously he defeated The Rock for the championship at Mania in the main event. And this kind of has the same kind of vibe, where they're doing a lot against Cody, to get Cody kind of to overcome the ultimate odds. One could argue he kind of done that already, I guess, come back from the injury, but it's booked very, very weirdly. I mean, it's weird because Dom was it's mad to think the turn obviously with Dom happened at Clash of the Castle, didn't it?
Yeah.
So the last time there was a British pay-per-view. So, he's been integral to the product, but I don't see him getting past Cody Rhodes. I think that potentially I'm thinking about something else that might happen on the show. I think they will need to have this win happen. So I would say Cody Rhodes to win.
Oh, wow. I never thought I'd say this. But I think it might be Dom.
Okay.
But with the hands of Brock Lesnar.
Oh. That's quite a surprise for London.
Look, I'm at the bottom of the table. I feel like Arsenal at the moment. Well, you're not in fourth place.
Come on. We nearly won the league last year. West Ham, you win one minor trophy.
Nearly.
You think you're all it?
More trophies than Arsenal last season. Just saying.
All right, mate. If we got Groundsman of the Year, yeah, we'll kind
what was it they said? Well. Was it 63rd best team in Europe, wasn't it? After the 32 in the Champions League, 32 in the Europa League.
This is it. Look, we've got another channel, of course, for our football talk, so I won't go too deep on this. But Champions of Europe is an annoying channel. I was very happy for West Ham, don't get me wrong. But Champions of Europe, it's like, do the winners of the second division in England call themselves champions of England? No, they don't, because that was Man City, not Arsenal as well, before you get that in there. But Burnley, I think it was, they weren't going around saying champions of England. They were saying champions for championship. So have that, Mr.
I'm not fussed. The fact that I'm alive to see him win a trophy I'm happy enough. That's it.
No, it's good. Again, like I said, I was very happy for you guys. I know Millwall over here wouldn't be, but
but yeah, look, I'm sitting bottom, so I think, you know what, it's not like I'm. If like with you, there's a couple points between it, so I can risk it, and I'm like, I can try and catch up later on or something with like Money in the Bank or like that one of them sort of predictions. Yeah. So I actually might bonus point. Dominic's going to win. I'm going to say with the help of interference. So I don't think it will be. I think it might be Brock, but I'm not going to risk it as Brock. So Dominic's going to win with the help of interference.
Dominic win due to interference is your bonus point, yeah?
Yeah. But, I mean, it would be interesting because obviously Cody and Brock are one apiece now, right?
Yeah.
Are they one apiece?
I think so,
yeah. Because I know that the big talkers is there going to be some kind of big stipulation match at SummerSlam.
That's right, yeah, because we were talking and we said about maybe First Blood, because I put that in the group chat. So I reckon that's what's going to happen, because it will build up for that. I think all of this stuff is just a side to make that happen. This is just a part of the story that's going to happen. So I'm going Dom.
Okay,
that's pretty good.
So yeah, I don't think Brock's making the trip over here. There's no way. I've seen some of the places they're going to have to go to, and Brock Lesnar ain't going to want to be associated with going to some of them places, mate. They're going to think we're a third world country if they saw some of them. So for me, I'm going to go. I feel it's going to be quite a convincing victory. Probably like a sub 5-minute match potentially. And I think it's going to be a Cody Rhodes victory, quite convincing in this one.
All very good points, boys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So right, let's get into the next match, which is a match that the UK has seen quite a bit over in various UK promotions, and that is Gunther versus Matt Riddle. Obviously, back when Gunther was going under his alias of Walter. And this match is for the Intercontinental Championship. So let's see who goes first this time. It is number 3. So, Lucas, we are round to you.
Oh. Firstly, elephant in the room, and maybe a controversial point, but Gunther's a much better name than Walter. Gunther is a much better name.
What was his real name, for goodness?
I don't know, man.
Gunther's a much better name, infinitely better. I know people got a bit arsey when.
You know what? It feels more dominant in a way as that it's Gunther.
Yeah.
It just feels stronger, doesn't it?
It feels like a champion. Walter, do you know what I mean? Just sounds like he works in a fish and chip shop.
Yeah, but I think Gunther. The problem with Gunther is, it's a lot of people would know it from Friends as Gunther. I guess it's like giving someone. I was just going to say it, and it's actually happened before, but obviously it was designed because of his character. But Eugene, especially when we were kids in the 90s, certain characters and cartoons would be called Eugene, and then that's kind of how that name became as well. So, I think
when you probably think about it. I think, in my opinion, most people you have to just accept that it's a much better name, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like all things considered, even when you got those things against it, and people just got annoyed because it was just a lot of the name changes were happening at the same time.
Thankfully, they removed the surname that they were going to give him as well.
Yeah. I mean that's
another issue.
Right. So I mean, we're assuming now that Gunther is now going to be overtaking Honky Tonk Man's record. in a few months. I guess for that reason alone, and because Matt Riddle, since he's come back, he doesn't seem to be on the same level, I think, as he was when he left. Like obviously if you kind of compare where he was in the really over tag team with RK Bro, constantly kind of main eventing, they still got that weird caveat, haven't they, with him, where we can't challenge Roman Reigns, can he? That championship. So, which kind of made, when he comes back, the biggest match he can have it against Seth, which obviously is a big match.
They've already done that anyway.
Yeah.
They'd already done that. As we get to later on, like Seth, he's not the main champion. As much as he's pretending he is, or likes to think he is, like he's holding a mid-card title, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I think in terms of this, then Gunther is going to be victorious. I don't see a reason for Matt Riddle to win. Yeah, I don't see a reason for Matt Riddle to win. I think maybe if they were to do something in this one to be able to swing back to the next match, a rematch potentially then, but not just like some random match that's been booked. It just seems like Gunther just seems to get random matches sometimes, doesn't they? Like Ali last month, just who's backstage, Oh, Ali, yeah, let's do it. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Dan was saying about the Cody Rhodes match being short. I don't think that will be short. I think maybe this one might be, to be fair.
You're not the only one who actually thinks that, to be honest. We've got a comment here from Tony 220 JDM 91 saying Gunther quick 7-minute match win incoming. So
yeah, that's guy I'm going to the show with. I'm going to the shows with my friend Tony.
Oh, Tony, there we go.
Welcome to the stream, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't see this one being a long one.
Yeah.
Robert.
I think, look, I'm saying Gunther because they wouldn't now start promoting that he's this close in this title reign. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. For them just to take it out, like pull the carpet from underneath his feet when he's this close to like beating a record. Like that would be so bizarre to me because he's got so much, like he's full force at the moment. He's so dominant. He looks great. His body transformation and the way he's changed everything about him, his physique, his look, everything about him is like it screams world champion. So for me, at the moment, I think he needs to break the IC title record, make it longer. So obviously, don't just break it by one day, make it a bit longer, and then from there, whoever beats him, Gunther then goes on for if it's still Roman, go against Roman. That's how I'd love to see it happen because Gunther as that champion, would be amazing. So I'm saying Gunther, but thoughts on a Randy Orton return? I was thinking maybe. So it's got me and you spoke about this. It was the Raw after Mania, and we said Randy will come out, and we thought maybe he'll come out and he'll instantly RKO Matt Riddle, start that feud. Obviously, that didn't happen. Is Randy good to go? If so, would this be the place for him to come back, hug Riddle, have that RK Bro connection, and then bang, start RKO him, and then start the feud with these two?
Yeah, you know what? I think so. I mean, I know we're jumping about out of match here, so of course I know Dan's going to go next. But just before we get to that, jumping on your point about Randy, I was going to kind of bring that up as well. I do think it's possible. I know there are rumors floating around that he might still never be ready to come back, so that'd be a real shame if that's the case. But that could just be put out there to kind of muddy the waters. So I think it's possible. I think every time we get a PLE, you think this could be it with any return, and especially when you don't really have concrete evidence of how long someone's out for. So obviously being in London, I think we're really optimistic it'd be our PLE, so to speak. But I do think it's possible. And if it does happen, I think that's how you fix the issue that Lucas brought up about Riddle, as far as, giving him that bit of fire behind him. And like you said, we spoke about on the Raw After Mania predictions. And of course, that's kind of old news now. But I definitely would recommend anyone watching it because we do go into details as far as even if we weren't at that event, why certain kind of storylines would work. And like you said, the Randy and Riddle one, I think was a really interesting one. And I think then I weren't 100% sure. Because of the way Riddle's been since he's come back, I think he 100% needs Randy to turn on him. Yeah.
See, I think the turn, I think it happens on Raw. As much as it sounds like cliche,
right?
I think have Riddle lose, and then obviously they've got the material then to go on Monday Night Raw to have the whole nothing about me kind of thing. You know, and Randy getting a big pop on his return, I think would suit an American crowd like more than. I know it sucks because it is us, and I know he will get a pop over here, but I think it would probably be better returning in America versus over here.
And to be fair, we did get the Dom turn, like you mentioned earlier on. So, I mean, it'd be incredible if we got Randy returning and turning at the same time. But yeah, maybe it is wishful thinking. But yeah,
I'm trying to find out where Raw's going to be coming from. Because if it was say like Randy's hometown or something, then it could have been like, oh yeah, that's when he's going to return. But it's weird because you hear some stories. Apparently, it's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland. So no, it's not in there.
That's dead crowd.
That's not.
do it in London. Do it in London.
Yeah, do it in London, mate. You get the Bizarro World crowd, as they like to describe it. But yeah, so. Flicking around to me for the prediction for this one, I think so. Obviously, WWE like to promote their hometown talent, and Gunther being European, to
close enough
to an American crowd, they're like, well, it's the same continent, so
London's the capital of Europe, ain't it?
Yeah, London's capital of Europe, so it's like the hometown hero Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle.
Of course.
That Welsh Scotsman, but yeah. So I think Gunther, I feel, is going to be so over in the UK with the UK crowd, and he has had probably one of my favorite matches that I've seen in a long time. The one he had with Drew and Sheamus at WrestleMania. Just literally 3 men just beating the ever-loving, out of each other pretty much. And I feel as though with Riddle, with his MMA background as well, and obviously if you've seen any of the previous matches between these two, this is not gonna be just like a bit of chain wrestling on the mat. This is gonna be just like balls to the wall, beat the heck out of each other, and who's going to be left standing there at the end? And the answer to that question is Gunther, pretty much, I think. And I see him going on and holding that Intercontinental title for longer than the Honky Tonk Man. I did actually hear somewhere that I think it's either the week before or the day after or something. It's around the time of him breaking the record that WWE are in the hometown of Honky Tonk Man.
Really?
I don't know exactly when it is, but I'll find out when you do your prediction. But
I think it's end of August. It's end of August when.
Yeah, when I'm going to find out when does Gunther break the record? So Gunther,
74 days from now.
Mathematically, he needs to be champion until November the 9th, 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and November the 9th is when he would break it. Yeah, Honky Tonk's Man reign is followed by another significant reign by Pedro Morales and Macho Man Randy Savage. So, yeah, he needs to hold it for another 159 days from when this article was posted. So.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, this is one again. I thought was quite simple up until earlier today, actually, and I started thinking, well, hold on, it can't keep happening for Gunther. At some point, he will lose that title. But as soon as you guys started talking about this Honky Tonk Man thing, which I forgot about, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's too close. He's got to break that. Like, it is crazy. And we've talked about these long reigns on so many of our podcasts lately. But this is one where you have to break that. Roman, you needed to go beyond 1,000 especially once you've gone past Cody at Mania, and they surely got to be tempted to do this with Gunther as well. And I think he'd be deserving. Hopefully he does do it. I know you've got a soft spot, Lucas, for Honky Tonk Man's reign.
It's September the 6th, apparently. Is the actual record.
Cool. So yeah, I think he's got to break it, and that's not very far away at all. And I remember when we first spoke about this show, we all assumed it'd be Sheamus versus him, and that if anyone was going to do it, again, not that he's from London or even British, of course, but again, from this side of the ocean, and again, made his name over here before he moved over to the States, then you'd imagine someone like Sheamus winning that big IC title, match here in London would be quite a temptation as well. Isn't to be. Sheamus doesn't seem to be doing much, unfortunately. But because of that, it just feels like this is just kind of another notch on the bedpost of Gunther, I guess you could say. And I think Gunther's winning it. And I am tempted to say Randy is going to show up and either cost Riddle or maybe even just help him against Imperium, because he's getting beaten up at the end. I mean, he'll come out and help him, and then maybe after that turn again or not turn, who knows? Maybe the turn comes in a month's time, or maybe Randy's not even ready to come back. But I'd love to see it. But ultimately, Gunther is leaving with the IC title, and so he should.
Yeah, I think it's there we go. So it's the 28th of August 2023 is when Monday Night Raw is going to be in Memphis, which is the hometown of the Honky Tonk Man. So
that would be good. I don't know if they're in good terms with him because he's always like bad mouth for them, but they brought him back over the years for many different spots. Yeah. It just hasn't happened for quite a while with Honky Tonk Man, so it would be fantastic. There's no better way, in my opinion. It's kind of like when the Usos faced off against New Day a couple months ago to kind of break that reign. I thought it was fantastic. So much Jeopardy do it. Not that I think they could do that. Honky could challenge him, or it could be a promo or something like that. But you know what? I'd love to see that Honky Tonk Man comes to try his best to stop it, and he doesn't. Like he
just comes in and just gets chopped straight out of his boot.
He chops the guitar, breaks it with his hands, and then Honky Tonk Man gets beaten in seconds. And I don't know if you're Honky Tonk Man. Do you want your record broken and be somewhat humiliated, or do you see that as another moment in the limelight?
That's passing the torch, isn't it?
Yeah, passing the torch, and it depends how the person feels about it. But I think that'd be a fantastic spot.
I think he will know that essentially, as much he still has that record he had. His reign can never be done again. It's a very, very unique run. Like if people go back and watch that run and study that run and what he'd done, it's very, very different from every other title reign because of the era it's from. Because he was the villain champion. Like, it was unheard of. Because even when you go back to the 90s, you go back to Yokozuna winning the WWF Championship. Like, that was unheard of for a villain to have the championship for that long. It was always a case of villains were used to transition the belt from one babyface to another babyface. So obviously, you had the Backlund to Hogan thing with Iron Sheik in the middle because they couldn't have Hogan and Backlund meet. That was the whole thing. And obviously, even before that, it was separating those people. And even flash forward even further, like they did it quite a lot during that whole weird era of like 2 championships or whatever in the 2000s. And a lot of champions that had those like shorter reigns to kind of like in between the 2 big ones. But yeah, it was unheard of for and so I think Honky Tonk Man would have to understand that he's 70 years old at the moment as well. He retired a few years ago. He's in the Hall of Fame. Like everyone from who watched wrestling back then or around that era kind of will still know him as that, if that makes sense, because they follow him on now. And it's just a complete different run, different product. And I think that will be how we'd have to see it. Because I think a promo or something. I don't really want to see a match. I think we've seen enough of like the old men kind of getting beaten up and stuff. We don't need to see with the Flair stuff lately, and I don't think it's needed. It won't add anything, but I think a cool promo acknowledgement that at least he had the record, and now obviously it's been passed on to Gunther. I think that could be a cool thing, and who knows? Like he's King's cousin, so I guess Lawler might come and you can commentate the segment on the match or whatever. The King's Court, couldn't you? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. But don't they hate each other? I swear they don't see eye to eye.
But I think if there's a check on the table, I think they're both going to want to take it.
Yeah. And as well, like if your record's going to be broken anyway, you might as well be a part of it. So
get a payday while you lose a record, but you gain your money.
Hey.
All right, so that was the intercont from one mid-card championship to another now, as we go for Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. I'm joking, obviously. It is the World Heavyweight Championship, the brand new World Heavyweight Championship. Already defended that championship more this year than apparently what Roman Reigns has in the last year. Since this title has been reintroduced, introduced. I don't know. Well, technically, sure. I mean, if we ask Rob, technically Roman Reigns is the World Heavyweight Champion, but
it was unified. You can't unify it and ununify the title. It's
right. That's muted, so that's a good thing. Right, I've unmuted you now, mate. Don't worry.
Unbelievable.
So right, we'll see who goes first.
Hopefully not Rob.
Scott.
All right.
But yeah. Sorry, Rob. What was you actually saying?
I'll say that it's unified. I feel like you're going to mute me again. If it was unified, it became the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Then they just went to branding it as the WWE Championship. So the World Heavyweight was still a part of it. They just dropped the World Heavyweight because the two titles became that one, and they made a new fancy looking title with the word championship under it or whatever they did. So after they've done all that crap, you then can't have Roman become your undisputed champion, having the Universal, then the WWE title, and then say he's the Universal World, whatever it is, Galaxy Champion, whatever you want to class him as now. Then give him a brand new title and then think, oh, well, he's got that title. We need someone to defend it. So let's bring back the World Heavyweight Championship. You can't. You can't ununify. You have to. And then you said they were going to put the WWE title on hold. Why? It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, fix it.
Yeah, it's just a bit messy, isn't it?
It annoys me.
New titles look nice, though. I've got to say, new titles do look nice. So.
Well,
I just think it disrespects every other champion. Honestly, that's how I feel.
I mean, I think the women's version of the undisputed WWE, WCW, ECW World National Heavyweight Championship. Yeah. I think that the women's version looks like on the white strap. It does look a lot nicer, actually. But yeah, I just love the way that Roman's just carrying 3 belts around. That's just hilarious.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Like he needs to come out next week, and he'll have like the original big gold, the ECW title.
Everyone has been consumed.
And then it'll basically just be Rob will just be like, "See, I'm vindicated now."
The thing is,
any titles ever merged.
It's just strange how they love this thing of Roman because the camera always pans. You know when he flicks the belts. And he does it to the camera. And I think they realized, hang on, that we're not going to get that. So I think now he has one around his waist and he still does that before the match. It's like he's just gloating even more. So I get it, but it's just the world title.
It's just wish it didn't happen. It's kind of working out okay now, but it's still the way we got there was kind of unnecessary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But like I say, there is a brand new world title. Will there be a brand new world champ though? I'm not sure. I feel like what I'm stuck with here is that in order to give that title some legs, you kind of need, with any title really, to not hopper-tate it early on. But the other side of the coin for me is that I think although Seth was, for me, always the most likely to win it, second option for a lot of people was Finn. Third and a fear was Cody, of course, because of the whole finishing the story stuff. Obviously, that didn't happen, thankfully, and he is hopefully going to come back to the one he's meant to actually be going after. But I think Finn has impressed a lot of people lately. I think Judgment Day has been really good. Been the best part of Raw for a while.
Apparently, management are super high on them.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised now if Finn did do it. It does feel soon, but as you said, Dan, they've done a fair few title matches recently. So at some point, he's got to be beaten. I think in an ideal world, it wouldn't be until maybe Survivor Series to give this title a little bit more strength.
I think he's had 6 defenses since he won it, and Roman's had 5 in the last year.
Because the only way I can see it, also we mentioned Riddle earlier on. What if Riddle goes after Finn? That could be a storyline as well, So, and then Riddle could finally get that title. Riddle going after the Judgment Day feels like a storyline that could have a bit of legs as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of tempted to go for Finn Balor. And again, just like Sheamus. He's not from London, I know. He's not British, I know. But he did cut his teeth over here. Yeah, he's got a lot of fans in London, and he's had some big moments in London throughout his career. And I think this could be another one. And I think they've I think he's got himself back in the conversation, of that NXT run kind of helped him a bit, and then he come back to the main roster, and he had a few kind of bits flirting with the top again as far as that demon stuff with Roman. Of course, that didn't quite work out, but I could see it, man. Him holding that and Rhea holding the women's, it's a visualization, man. Like that I think works. A visual, I guess I should say. I try to expand, make myself sound smarter than I am there. Screw it. I might sound really dumb here, but I'm gonna go Finn Balor. Why not?
Finn Balor.
I hope he does it. I've enjoyed Seth, but I think Finn does deserve it.
All right, locked in.
I know Lucas is going to disagree because he disagreed last month. So
he disagrees with it. He's gonna say Natalia.
Papa Shango.
Papa Shango.
See, this is the thing. This match for me is linked with the men's Money in the Bank match as well.
Okay. And
there's a certain somebody who's in that match by the name of Damian Priest, who's also obviously a part of the Judgment Day. So you can always argue there's infinite options that exist in wrestling, obviously. But there are like a lot of options now where obviously... Okay, I'm going to say it and put it out there, and then I might just ignore it. But there is an option here where Judgment Day, where Damian does win Money in the Bank earlier in the night. Judgment Day obviously try to help Finn win the belt. It backfires. They get DQ'd. They're being upset. Damian's there with a briefcase.
Oh, I think that's great.
Or there's an option for Damian to even do the Seth Rollins, insert himself in the match, and for Finn to maybe be thinking, yeah, you're going to help me. And then obviously Damian sees the moment in that match, and boom.
I think that's also great, but I think it might be too early for that. And if anything, him winning after a beatdown at least stretches out where the inevitable kind of, I should be the leader with the title, could happen. But I think it actually solves that issue of Seth losing it too soon and looking slightly weak. Money in the Bank is a great way to take title of someone, The
thing is, Seth is he's so kind of, for me, intertwined with Money in the Bank because, look, best cash in my opinion. Yeah. Best cash in. And they even... like long-term storytelling, people go on about it quite a lot, especially with AEW. But WWE, even they do it accidentally, they do it because Seth cashes in like WrestleMania 31, height of the century, amazing moment. Brock cashed in on Seth, didn't he? Like a few years later, when Brock won, he made sure to cash in on Seth. At Extreme Rules, back in 2019, I think 2019. To beat Seth. And did you know as well, actually, Brock Lesnar is the only Money in the Bank winner to end the championship reigns of both people who were champions at the time.
Seth and Cody, wasn't it? Seth and Kofi.
Yeah, Seth and Kofi, yeah. Because he beat Seth for the Universal Championship by a cash-in. And at the time he won Money in the Bank, Kofi Kingston was champion, and he ended Kofi Kingston's run on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox. So the only Money in the Bank winners to do that. Yeah, so even he didn't even need Money in the Bank in the end, really. He got both belts in the end anyway.
Yeah.
And we got the great boombox moment, though. We would never have got that if he wasn't Money in the Bank. that was quality.
But there's so many options. But the default boring option is Seth wins, right?
The thing is, though, you even you saying that about the whole Money in the Bank thing. It's like obviously we've got a bit of civil war going on a bit later on. It's like what happens there if like Roman's the one that's on his back there, and then you get someone come out and try and cash in on Roman? Like, could that be
be crazy?
But the thing is, let's not forget though, they're actually hammering it home now on commentary that when you win Money in the Bank, you can cash in on any championship. They've made a point now to actually state that quite a lot.
I mean, I guess it's their way of accepting that there's less star power in these matches now.
So basically, what they're saying is that they're going to reintroduce the 24/7 title and then have someone cash in on that.
I think, yeah, I mean, sadly, they are actually accepting the fact that, because obviously nobody now has been world champion for so long in this company. Because of
Seth Rollins still is.
You know, yeah, like, but I'm saying Seth Rollins is the
Yeah.
first different person to be a world champion in a long time.
Over a year, yeah.
Brock,
Since Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and even Brock, Brock has dominated both belts for the last 10 years, on the most part. And obviously Bray Wyatt still kind of works there. He held the championship with Braun Strowman. He's currently injured. But outside of those, there's so few names now.
Owens.
You're talking about Owens, but you're talking about what, 7 years now?
Yeah.
Let's not forget the first ever Universal Champion, Finn Balor, as well.
Yeah, again, almost 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago. There's people going about Dolph Ziggler. It's like 17 years ago, 15 years ago, I think, when he won the championship. So you're like,
10 years ago, but
no, it was like when was it? It was like 2009.
No,
wasn't it like Mania 27 or something? No, after Mania 27 was it?
It was after Mania 29. So it was 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Okay, well, still a long time.
Yeah.
still over 10 years. No, 12 years, isn't it? What year?
No, it's 10 years.
If it's Mania 40,
yeah,
it's Mania 40 next year.
Yeah. Okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Maybe in your calendar, not mine.
Yeah, there's so few people now. But yeah, I don't like that addition. I think the risk that match takes, I guess we'll get to that later. But anyway, to this match, because I do see it linked to Money in the Bank, I might go along with Scott's thesis, because even if there is no cash-in attempt or whatever, I still see there being some shenanigans that could easily lead to Seth losing the belt here.
Yeah.
And then they could bounce it back at SummerSlam if they wanted to. Because I do think there needs to be a belt or a championship that actually changes hands in this company. Put women's tag belts aside, because they change hands every time someone gets injured in the division, it seems. But there's like no belt that really kind of seems to change hands. And this could, as much as I'm kind of with you with the whole establishing a championship, maybe that first long reign, I'm also kind of thinking, because every championship's just doing that anyway. Can this be a championship that doesn't need to do it? Could you bounce to Finn and then for a month later, Seth wins it back, and make Seth that multiple time champion that really he kind of should be by now? If anything, you're playing catch up, because he only hasn't won the championship because obviously Roman's had that belt for so very long.
Yeah.
Because you'd argue, when you look back at some of these people, that Edge had 12 runs of the champion. And only about 2 of them are ones where they're actual proper reigns, not cash-ins and that kind of stuff.
It's a bit like Charlotte with the women's title, to be honest. She had 14 reigns, and a few of them have just been a day or 2 days or whatever.
Isn't it? And it's just getting those numbers up, isn't it? Because how many world championship reigns have Seth had? 3, 4?
I'll have a look while you said.
But it does build up the record books for this new version of the title quickly as well. So there is that.
Do you want to hop potato it though, back and forward,
It's a risk.
Every other belt, every other champion never loses. So just have this belt as the one that does. I'm gonna go for Balor, by the way. Visual pick, by the way.
To carry on a convo, from my prediction, if Finn wins, I'm not against it. But if Finn wins, just give him a reign. Just give him I'm not saying it needs to be a year, but just give him a couple months. He can feud still against Seth, but let's let it cook. Let's see what happens with it. Let's boil the championship up a bit. Give it a bit of legacy between these two. And if he does drop it back to Seth at the final match, then we go again. I think, in comparison, the way I would say building a title up would be the same way Dolph Ziggler and The Miz done the IC title. That whole moment of with Maurice spraying The Miz and Maurice spraying Ziggler, and do you know what I mean? And all that sort of stuff. That whole story, the way that was built, everything about it, the way it was presented, was probably one of the most amazing things that I've seen with the IC title in such a long time. And that's not discrediting any other IC champion, but a feud like that actually has some meatiness to it, and it means something, and it's because of the title and how desperate you want that title. To me, that would sell that title, and you could then hot potato it because the title is in need. It's not a case of 24/7. Anyone can get it, but the way it goes that way, I just think they're desperate and are hungry for it. So it makes that title worth something. So I'm not against Finn doing it, but I think if they're gonna do it that way, let him have a couple months, and then if you're gonna give it back to Seth to hot potato it back again, give it back. And if you're gonna build it like that for a bit, then Finn takes it again. Fine, I'm not against it, but I don't want to see it happen and then next month it goes back again. So, do you know what I mean? Like,
then saying that, I mean, with respect, Rob, like I'm looking at that reign, like they did Dolph versus The Miz at No Mercy in 2016. That was title versus career, and then a month later, Miz wins it back. So that feud that was amazing. Don't get me wrong.
I think it was the story of that feud, though.
When 1 month later, title versus career is a big thing. You'll win it, but a month later, you win it back. So
look, I said I'm not against it if it's within a month, but I just think they need the story there. The title, it doesn't need to have a story, but if you're going to be like fighting for this championship, and bearing in mind they've got history, Seth injured Finn Balor and caused him to not have that Universal title. Let's say that didn't happen. What if we do a what if moment? What if Finn wasn't injured?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having this conversation now. Like, do you know what I mean? So there's a story already in place. So use it. Like, use it as an advantage and actually make it mean something. So then Finn is not a case of, I want the Universal. It's, I have to beat Seth Rollins for that title. And then it becomes something more. So then if it does hot potato, it's because of that. So I just think look.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think to be fair as well, they have tweaked Finn's character lately in a way that they could do something quite strong storyline-wise with it. So I think there's definitely something in it. But yeah, I was going to say something else, but I'll let you finish there just before I jump.
Yeah, no, I'm all for between those two going back for a couple, like the best of 4, 5, 6, whatever. Because these guys could put on a different match every single show, and you wouldn't be able to compare it to the last one. Both of them are fantastic wrestlers, and incredible. So
I've got the stats, by the way, for the titles. He's had 2 WWE title reigns, 1-time current World Heavyweight title, 2-time Universal Champion, and then I guess if you class in NXT title, then he's 1-time inaugural NXT champion as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's had a fair reign, but let's finish it off. I'm gonna say Seth because I don't think it's gonna happen now, but I think this is gonna lead to something. That's what I'm hoping. But if you're going on the thing of the Money in the Bank, so firstly, I hate the idea if you win it on the night, you have to cash it in that night. It winds me up. But I do have someone in mind, but I'll give you who I think.
All right, cool.
Continued.
Yeah,
so
done.
I'm gonna before I do mine, I'm gonna we'll get to a couple of comments real quick as well. So we've got Jonesy Chats Wrestling. I think this current WWE product is in the toilet since Vince came back in charge. We obviously there's rumors going around that Vince has his hand in a lot of the.
But even the one recently, it was on like a SmackDown or whatever. Like it wasn't a bad show. So it's easy to fall into that. But yeah, it has been a bit of a strange time recently. But I still think it's been really good. So of course follows that up here.
Also, he follows up with, if WWE was sensible, Drew comes back in the men's Money in the Bank, replacing Nakamura, and cashes in on Seth via a full heel turn later on in the show.
I do feel like Drew could be showing up because, of course, he did like a community thing the other day, didn't he? So the only WWE appearance he's done since kind of all this speculation and since WrestleMania, isn't it? So
I guess he's got it though. He's like, hometown, isn't it, of England? So and then we've got give me a whole yes, boys.
Oh yeah. So I'm guessing that's either Dom or Sam, maybe. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. Of course, we'll see you in a few days here in London. Looking forward to
Daniel Wiley as well, saying hey guys.
Hi,
thanks for coming back, Daniel.
And Tony again, Seth only drops if instant cash in on Money in the Bank. To be honest, I think that's probably where I am with this. Obviously, for my prediction, I think, if, as we always say with these kind of shows, it all depends really on match placement, I think. I do think if the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is going on first, then there's more of a chance of it happening. the earlier that match goes on. Because then, so say that goes on first, you've got obviously then the option of them cashing in on Seth. You've got the option of them cashing in on Gunther. You've got the option even of them cashing in on Roman, even, you know, in the Bloodline Civil War.
Austin Theory still work there? Like, is he missing or something?
Yeah, no, he is still there. He's still the United States champion.
He's based on a milk carton somewhere.
Is Lashley still there? Like,
yeah, they're all still there. But,
yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
I don't know. I'm not sure if Lashley's injured.
Okay.
Yeah, someone confirmed that.
Strowman's injured.
Someone can do a bit of a Google for us.
I'll have a look, Steve.
But yeah, for me, so yeah, I think this is going to be Seth Rollins is going to win this. For me, this is all the it's got all the components for match of the night. This one, obviously, people are talking about some matches from AEW that stole the show. I think this could well be right up there. I think the best thing WWE can do is give this match a lot of time. Like, I'm not talking a lot of time as in like your 40-45 minutes. I'm like a good solid like 20. Yeah, good solid 20 minutes. You know, just let them go out there, tear it down. I'd like to see this match just go off with no interference. Just let Seth and Finn go out there and be Seth and Finn, and no, just literally rip the roof off the two.
But that adds to the theory that there'll be a cash in, and if they're clean, the match is cleaner. It's tough.
You like the cleaner it goes, the more like it's like, oh wait, is something going to happen? Is something?
Triple H an angle as well, doesn't it?
It's like you were saying. Imagine if it is like Damian Priest that wins Money in the Bank, and then Finn wins it. He comes in and cashes it.
Yeah. See, I do think the whole kind of, if there is a cash in, it should be on Seth and not Finn. I think I'd be quite annoyed if Finn won, because that really would feel a bit weird with the title. So I think if there's a cash in, it should be on Finn. Like, and if it's successful, and if it happens with either one, it's got to be the men's, because of how they've done the women dirty as far as never giving anyone a really long reign with the briefcase.
The thing is, I think if it was on Finn though, it would be like the ultimate like rib on Finn, because they're like, oh, you won this title and didn't get still couldn't hold it as long as you held the Universal title more, and that helps.
Maybe that helps his character, kind of pushes him over the edge even further. But it could be the case. Gonna bring up Jones's comment here quickly as well, kind of elaborating on what they mentioned earlier on. You compare the current product to the Attitude Era, WWE and current AEW stuff like Omega vs. Ospreay. It seems so slow. Bloodline is great, but that's all. Sadly all. So a few points there. I think, ironically, I feel like this is the most I've enjoyed wrestling since the Attitude Era. So I think it's actually been really good lately. But I understand your point there. There are, things have been a bit shaky the past few months. But generally speaking, if we take the year as a whole, you talk about last SummerSlam Clash and all that kind of stuff. I think it's been fantastic. Bloodline, it has been, I think, the best thing within WWE. And shout out to the Omega Ospreay match the other night on Forbidden Door. There's a lot of matches this weekend that I think have got a lot to live up to. That was a very good show as far as kind of bangers, if you will. So, and like you say, Dan, this is a match that could do that. Daniel Wiley thinks the Bloodline match is going to be amazing. I agree with you, Daniel. We're going to be excited about that one. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like the Rock, goosebumps. We'll talk all about that in a moment, Daniel. So stick with us as well. And of course,
mine's
we see
more
Tony
because
here.
I've got an air conditioning unit straight on. That's why I've got.
Mine's legit, mate. I'm just excited about
mine's from being a bit cold.
And then Tony says, if you want to break up Judgment Day, Priest cashes in on Finn after the winner title. Yeah, so we kind of touched on that earlier on. I think it's a great visual and a great story. I just feel like they're like finally incredible. It'd be too for me. So yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that, because that'd be a great, like, would you call it a heel turn? A bigger heel turn? I guess that'd turn.
Maybe it's a face. Is that a face turn?
No, I don't know.
Priest would be.
Yeah, I guess Finn would be the baby face then, wouldn't they?
No, Priest would be.
It would turn against the heel group.
He's turned against the heel group.
Oh, I don't know.
So maybe that's why you don't do it.
Yeah. But I was going to say, the reason I don't think that would happen is because WWE have recently filed a trademark for the Judgment Day for more stuff like cards, posters, calendars. So I don't see that happening. And to answer your question, so on the 31st of March, SmackDown, Lashley won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal as a part of the 20.
That one the last thing was on.
Yeah, as a part of 2023 WWE draft, Lashley was drafted to SmackDown brand.
Well, and that's
No
been
more
it
information.
since.
All
That's
right,
it, bro.
fair enough.
Wow.
It's like, do you even go here?
What a shame. Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah. All right, shall we get on to the next match then?
There we go. Back to you.
All right, so this next match, obviously, there has been massive feuds going on within WWE, especially it all has to come to a head eventually in tag team competition. And what better place to do it than in London? And what better match than for the Women's Tag Team Championships when Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez take on the team of the undisputed WWE NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Ronda Rousey.
We're getting a bit of road dog there.
and
Tag team
Shayna-
champion.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler taking on, obviously, the returning Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So let's see who is going first for this one. Obviously, the biggest tag match on this card. It is going to be number 4. So
Of course, it starts with me.
Roberto.
Robert.
I am just
You're gonna be like,
annoyed.
don't care.
No, look, I am Ronda and I don't even know how to start. Ronda and Shayna. I get, other than, let's get it out there, other than the Iconics.
There it is. What's the stream, everyone?
Other than the Iconics, I would say they are next, like the next legitimate female tag team, like a complete tag team, right?
Yeah.
But why do we need to unify the NXT titles? Why could? Because I don't really see if any. Look at it this way: if Ronda and Shayna Baszler beat Liv, right, and Raquel on Saturday, I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude, but they could go to NXT. Are you really telling me anyone in NXT, the developmental brand, is going to have a chance against them? It just makes no sense. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, I'm happy for you to unify it, but it shouldn't have been Shayna and Ronda to do that. It should have been a babyface team, then they lose to them, and then they go on a dominant run. Because now I just don't like it. Like, Ronda's got a little bit better in the ring, but I feel like every time they start talking on the mic, I'm watching Mean Girls. It's just terrible. Like, the promos are bad. It's just
great.
cheesy. It's so bad. Like, I'd rather pull my eyes out and not have to see it. Honestly, if I was at the show, I'd rip my arm off just to throw something at them when they start talking. Like, I just hate it. It's so bad. Like, I just can't stand it. But I just feel like they've unified it. You can't unify these titles, and the people that have just unified them then lose. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
So
they've done it before, though. They've done weird stuff like that before. So
yeah, begrudgingly, I'm going with Ronda and Shayna. However, if Liv and Raquel win, I'm going to be so happy. So my heart says Liv and Raquel, but it's going to be Ronda and Shayna in it. So I think everyone is in agreement with that.
It does feel somewhat like an easier pick, and I think because, like you say, where they've just won the titles, of course, I'll let Dan go next first. But yeah, just jumping on some of the points you made there about like character stuff before we go back into the actual predictions. But I just feel like they're not like you say, they're kind of ready made as a tag team, these two, and I like them both. I know you've never really been a massive fan of Ronda, Rob, but I was a massive fan of Shayna NXT. I know it's one of those things that, again, it comes up on most podcasts. But I personally think that what's been most disappointing about this for me is the lack of, or the changing direction of their characters, you know? But yeah, it's bit of a disappointment there. What about you, Dan? What are you thinking? Just kind of touching on some of the character work there, but do you have a kind of a thought on Ronda and Shayna's character work? Has it been what you expected in the team between the two?
Yeah, I mean, so Ronda and Shayna, obviously this was what Ronda actually wanted to do. Apparently, she turned down a championship match at WrestleMania, like a singles championship match, to actually do this team with Shayna. And yeah, I mean, you can tell that obviously she wasn't in the best place at Mania. She was still a little bit injured. So yeah, just I think when you look at the way that the team are, I think they are the most like legitimate team that WWE have in the women's division.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually really, really impressed though with Kaden Carter and Katana Chance the other week when they faced them on SmackDown as well. They're actually
match.
a really, really good. Yeah, it was a banging match actually. And apparently the higher ups in WWE were apparently really, really impressed with them. So you know, kudos to them for that. But
see what happens when you go through NXT first and not just go to the main roster.
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, yeah, you
know.
can like they can hone their craft as well. And you notice that a lot of the women in this tag division as well have actually come through the NXT system. Apart from obviously Ronda, you know, she obviously got fast track, but yeah, Shayna was obviously one of the most dominant NXT champions they had. You know, you're looking at their opponents like Liv and what's it called, Liv and Raquel. You know, both also come via the via NXT as well. Like, Liv was what was Liv? Who was she with? Riot Squad, wasn't she? Yeah, she's in Riot Squad.
They were dominant.
Yeah, you know, another team I thought, you know, they should have done a lot more with them. And obviously Sarah Logan, who's now Valhalla with the Viking Raiders. But yeah, I think Ronda and Shayna, I think as a team, I do like the dynamic of the team. I like the fact that obviously they're bringing more legitimacy, I guess, to the in-ring stuff. And you know, I mean, we all kind of watched wrestling back in an era where, you know, if the women hit each other too hard, they were told to go out there and redo a match because it was being taped. And it's like, oh, you can't get that aggressive with each other. Whereas, you know, can you imagine someone turning around saying that to Ronda and Shayna? They'd be on the floor in an armbar, and
yeah, it won't be Rob's arm being ripped off by himself. It'd be Shayna ripping off their arm. But
yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, yeah, as I say, I do like the dynamic of the team. I think, you know, they're going to be, you know, I think they could legitimize these tag titles. And you know,
I hope so.
These have over the years been seen as like the laughing stock of the titles. The women's tag titles, and I think they've got enough women now on the roster, and especially if they are going to go down to NXT as well, because you've got the two that are in the stable with Noam Dar. Is it Lash Legend and I'm sorry, Miss Jackson? I don't know her other name. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Yeah, they actually made that joke on commentary the other week. So you got those. You've got who's the other one?
So are they actually going down to NXT then? Is that
I think that's what they're saying. They're going to float across both the brands.
Yeah,
we were saying about this. Bailey and Sasha, didn't they? That happened once.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it was originally meant to be the thing when they first brought in the titles. That it was going to be floating across all the brands, which was kind of a bit surprising to me that they actually brought in NXT tag titles in the first place. Like women.
Yeah, the reason why they did it was because it was during the Thunderdome era, and NXT, remember, had that massive period where it had like lots of cases at one point, and so they limited people going from the Thunderdome to the Performance Center for stuff in 2021, and so they did that some controversial finish or something for one of the women's tag title matches on NXT. And then they create NXT women's tag belts as a result of that. So it was kind of like a temporary solution. That's how I've always kind of felt it.
Right.
And they didn't know what they were doing with it either. That's how I felt anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, going back into this match then, because we're kind of gone into a bit of the Ronda and Shayna thing. Obviously, Liv Morgan had a fantastic 2022. Was Miss Money in the Bank last year as well. This time last year, we were predicting Liv Morgan to win Money in the Bank, which she did, and then cashed in.
Same night,
became women's champion. And Raquel Rodriguez obviously is quietly going about her business onto about a fifth different tag team partner, I think, in the last last couple of months. But yeah, so for me, see, this is one where I could see the titles changing hands because I know they were quite high on Liv and Raquel. But from a dominance standpoint, I've got to go Ronda and Shayna, I think, because I think that's the only way that they're going to legitimize the tag titles is, in my opinion, by keeping them on Rousey and Baszler.
I could
lock in.
Sorry, I was going to say I could see them being in a position where they're so dominant, they get so cocky, they do open challenges, and they invite everyone and anyone. So, random indie talent that comes in, you know what I mean, like them sort of jobbers, or they bring in other people from NXT, people from the actual developmental of NXT, just to throw them in to rack numbers up so they can start. So whoever does beat them, there's a big thing there, kind of like not the Goldberg scenario, but there's a number behind it. So
it'd be like Nia Jackson, Tamina, or something will beat them.
Well, I mean, yeah, but at least there's
a link there. Yeah.
You know?
I mean that's exactly the issue. I think with obviously the division, we've gone about it for months, even years now. Like you say, of kind of giving it a bit of strength again. And I think, like you say, Dan, like Liv and Raquel was the plan. They were high on them, but unfortunately, that's just not the way, because what happened to Liv, having to leave. So a lot of times,
and that was all due to her injury, and they thought that the injury was a lot more serious than it was. So that's why they took the titles off of them, was because they thought she was going to be out for about 3 or 4 months.
Yes, that's it. A lot of times they think, well, they're back now, so let's put it back in the original plan. But I think this is one of those scenarios where you don't do that. Like you've now got an opportunity to strengthen this. I think Shayna and Ronda were going to get anyway. I think probably at this point, maybe. So really, that's just come earlier, and I think it needs to be a dominant reign, as Rob said earlier on. And to be fair, Liv had her moment the other day when she come back. It was a fantastic pop. I thought it was great for her. Very well received by the crowd. It was a great way they did it, I thought. Apparently,
it was apparently announced first. Sean Rossap of Fightful actually came out with. So he said that he'd received like a media pack for Money in the Bank, and Liv Morgan was actually one of the talent names on that list.
Media,
And so he was like, "Oh, so does this mean then that Liv is coming back?" And WWE neither confirmed nor denied it. It's like, well, she must be doing something if she's on the actual media, the media part of things. So, yeah. Going back obviously over the prediction side of it, Ronda and Shayna for me are the team that's going to win this. We've got another star in role there again. For those of you that haven't seen him before, Lucas has a little guess with him. It's his cat Star. So
there you go. Try to take over. We always try to get Star's predictions, but we never get them.
Still better at predictions than Lucas, I think. more chance of winning the predictions than you.
Hey!
And that is the best Lucas has looked all stream as well.
What timing? Right. Anyway, let's get back to the predictions, because I think it's got to be Shayna and Ronda. It should be Shayna and Ronda. I think improving their characters is what's necessary for me. But at the same time, they also need a dominant run. So looking forward to seeing that. And then these titles being built up again. And like Rob said, and Dan said as well, bringing people up from NXT to kind of challenge them, or them going down there for that as well. Just before we move on for Liv Morgan, I'd be silly not to mention, of course, we did interview her a few months ago when she was here in the UK for Clash. I had a great little chat of her. She actually got quite emotional as well, talking about the support that she did get, as Dan said earlier on, from winning Money in the Bank and the title itself. So got quite a few interviews on this channel, and I would appreciate everyone that's joined us live for this predictions special podcast. Of course, those that join us demand, we appreciate it as well. Hope to hear more of your comments down below. But yeah, we do have interviews on this channel as well, and of course we're going to be covering Money in the Bank quite in depth this weekend. So keep an eye out on this channel for more podcast reviews, predictions, and things like that. Our kind of infamous build-up shows that we always do before PLEs as well. But of course, some WWE interviews hopefully coming your way in the next week or so as well.
We're gonna be busy boys.
We are indeed. But yeah, to cap it off, Ronda and Shayna for me.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick then. I think Ronda and Shayna.
Cool,
let's be
done. Next.
One of them will get injured next week anyway, so and the title will be vacant by next month. So
It does have that kind of bad luck, don't it? So yeah,
Ronda and Shayna to win.
So you got vacant, who's the longest reigning champion in history? Yeah. How many titles does vacant hold now, Rob? How many time world champion is vacant?
It's doing well, isn't it? Vacant. It's
Yeah,
solid. It's
still not
it's
as
up
much
there.
as Charlotte Flair, but you know.
Vacant was actually the second Universal champion after Finn Balor.
Oh,
Hard worker.
So, I know, right? Yeah, just no days off that one. So held the women's tag team titles when Naomi and Sasha left. So
yeah, someone had to pick up the ball.
exactly.
there you go.
So yeah, should we get to talking about the tag match everyone
Whew.
is pretty much talking about?
Let's go.
It is the Bloodline Civil War. Now, they're missing a trick here if they don't do a promo package with the Guns N' Roses song Civil War for this one. But yeah, it is Bloodline Civil War, which is Roman Reigns teaming with Solo Sikoa to take on Jimmy and Jay, the Usos. So let's have a look and see who gets to go first. Who is the one who gets to go first? And it is number one. That's me. So
Dan one-ish.
Dan one-ish.
New t-shirt.
So here we go. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, the Usos. This one is not going to be an easy match to predict. Are we going to see a new member of the Bloodline?
Ooh.
Potentially. We do also have, going back to what I was saying, Civil War, one of Guns N' Roses' best songs, in my opinion.
I was going to do an impression, but I don't think my voice is quite there today.
Do
your impression. You do a great Axel impression.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do
it.
Go on.
Do it.
I can't do it at the moment.
Do it.
I ain't got enough water.
To be fair, the one that was on stage at Glastonbury did a terrible impression of Axl Rose, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, Daddy Oki, that one, wasn't it? But yeah, anyway, yeah, Civil War, one of Guns N' Roses' best songs. Yeah, shout out Alex Davenport as well. Yeah, big Guns N' Roses fan as well. So yeah, this match, wow, this for me is probably actually harder to pick than the Money in the Bank matches, to be honest. Wow. Yeah, so there's been talk of potentially Ava coming in from NXT. Obviously, doesn't need a surname because she's a Rock's daughter. So
Ava Rock, do that one.
Yeah, thanks Adam Wilborn from What Culture for that one, nicking that. But yeah, so Roman and Solo, do they really need to win? Probably not. Will Solo turn on Roman and join his two brothers is probably the $1 million question.
£1 million, mate. It's in London.
£1 million question.
Keep up the theme.
To me, I can see that is more likely to happen. I think it will be something inadvertent, seemingly, but then the bigger story will be that Solo Sikoa turns on. Yeah, that Solo Sikoa does turn on Roman Reigns, and the Usos hand Roman Reigns his first defeat since, obviously, Baron Corbin pinned him
2019, that was.
Yeah, 2019.
So
back in Dog Street days.
Are you simply picking at the Usos win, or are you picking that Solo?
I'm picking at the Usos.
Are you bonus?
Are you bonus pointing?
I'm picking that the Usos are going to be victorious.
But you're not bonus pointing Solo.
What iteration of the Usos? Whether it's the two Usos or the third Uso?
Right, the third Uso can't win. Oh, come on now.
The third. Okay, the third Fatu brother. There we go. That's the easier way. Could we even see Rikishi turn up?
Oh yes, please.
You know.
See
Just
Roman getting a stink face.
Rikishi and Scotty Too Hot. He just stink face Roman Reigns.
He couldn't come out to either of the two cool theme songs though. He'd have to come out to "I'm a Bad Man."
Rikishi.
No, I
it
think
was
it'll be the
serious.
turn it up
Right,
one.
I think
What to set all this crazy blood feud, turn it up, banging it, and he comes out with the yellow glasses and everything. No, he's gonna come out like gangster Rikishi.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Triple H, Vince, listen to us. What we want to see you do is we want to see Rikishi come out and stink face Paul Heyman, please.
Oh, that'd be good.
So I'm gonna go. Oh, thanks, Alex. I'm sure you're talking about me, but yeah. Anyway,
Definitely not the two cool lyrics.
No.
But
And we've also got Jeffrey saying, "Hope Solo turns indeed." So I'm gonna lock in the Usos. I'm
Bonus
not
point it.
I'm not going to bonus point here.
Oh, you chicken.
Yeah, Usos to win.
Okay.
Do you know what? I won the predictions last year. I don't think I did a single bonus point last year.
Is that your secret? You're going to try and got
do one now and then see what happens.
Yeah.
No.
Do a test.
Test. No, he's not
bonus point.
Yeah, not him. All right. Okay. See, I think none of the above could happen at Money in the Bank because I think the storyline is as it has been.
I thought you were going to bonus point the match not happening.
Oh, right.
Roman goes home after SmackDown.
Oh, it could do. Yeah. But no, I think just like it's been for a while now that this story is nowhere near over, and I think it's not ready for that next progression. We've just had progress with the Usos, so for me, the Usos turning was their moment. I know we've talked for months, even years now, that maybe the person that beats Roman is Jay. Maybe the big moment of the downfall is the turn of the Usos, and maybe Solo does this and all that. And I think they got to carefully stretch him out. You know, we had the Sammy thing stretched out, the backwards and forth between a lot of these characters possibly turning stretched out. We finally got the turn and a commitment to the turn of both the Usos. I don't think we're ready for Solo yet, and I don't think we're ready for Roman to lose yet either. So for me, I think Roman and Solo have got to win. Whether or not someone does come in, I know there's a few more of that Samoan dynasty kind of floating about as well that they could bring into the fold. But I don't know that. And again, we mentioned earlier on, you know, we got the Dom thing. We also got Solo here in the UK. So it would be, I guess, poetic if Solo did turn or something like that. We got both big moments of Solo. But I don't see it coming myself. I think this has got to be a Roman and Solo win to kind of make the bloodline. The bloodline, look strong, and the Usos kind of fall in line and to continue that feud. I don't think this is the end for this feud, and because it'd be weird if it was. But what happens with the Usos now? They go off straight away into something else because, like, the next thing is for Roman to lose, right? Like lose the belt. That's the next big. Or Solo turns on him. So I don't think we're ready for either of those things yet. So I think what really needs to happen is play out this civil war further than just one show. So for me, it's Roman and Solo.
Rolo
indeed. Yeah.
This is such a big match. I mean, I'm assuming this is the main
Rob's
event.
got the advantage of going last here, by the way.
He has, yeah. It's a big advantage.
But the disadvantage of being the biggest Uso mark.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Is it honorary Us?
Yeah, he's crying.
That was the
inside.
original honorary Us.
Yeah, it was day one-ish.
Yeah.
So this has to be the main event of the show.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yes, it's Roman Reigns. It's main event.
It's opening it, mate. It's opening. It'll be back at Heathrow before the show's finished.
Right, what's Hit Row got to do with it? Oh, okay.
Heathrow.
Should we start calling him Heathrow? And just give him plane puns. And he did, Top Dollar did try and dive over the rope like a plane. So
no, that's what will happen if Heath Slater comes back. They'll put him in Hit Row. It'll be Heathrow.
Yeah, all right, I like that. Anyway, let's back to the serious stuff, Lucas. Your turn, mate.
So, assuming this is the main event, and Roman lost at his team lost, didn't they? At Night of Champions.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do that again.
I
mean, they can have him be that dominant champion. Then he loses even though he's not getting pinned, he's still losing 2 tag matches in a row.
I think the only way they do it is have him take the. He's got if they lose, he's got to be the one that takes the pin. I think.
No, that pin's got to happen in when you lose the title. I don't see an incentive to do it now, unless they're going
to. He will when Logan Paul cashes in on him later in the night.
Yeah, I don't see much purpose of the Usos winning. So because of that, and because I think it's going to be a main event, and because I don't think there'll be a cash in involving this match anyway, I think that Roman Reigns or Solo Sikoa will win the Civil War. But yeah, it's not over yet. We're going to be seeing lots more iterations of this happen. I don't really see much advantage to adding anyone else into the story now, if I'm being deadly honest. I think, look, I'm always up for a Rikishi appearance, and I think there is a role that he could potentially take as like a short-term kind of thing, but I don't see the point of involving The Rock's daughter, because always no matter who people long for is The Rock, and if he's not interested and is not coming back further down the line, then there's no point to it. She may as well just go on to just go on to NXT or go on to whatever and be separate from this. It's similar to when, like, obviously before the whole Sasha and Naomi thing happened, and people obviously wanted Naomi to be part of the story. But I think we're too far past that. Like, everyone's got defined roles. I think it'd be too hard to insert someone new into this. Though even saying that, Solo's only been in it since Clash, wasn't it? The Usos had a travel ban and stuff and couldn't, come over. But yeah, I think the only way forward is Roman and Solo win. So that's my pick.
So you're going for Rolo as well, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what if the Usos give the super kick to Roman, the double super kick to Roman? Solo gets in, Samoan spikes Roman, double Uso splash, and then Jimmy and Jay pin him at the same time, and Solo goes on top. So Roman gets triple pinned, so he physically can't get out.
Cool visual, but now?
What, and then what? Just do a bundle like Paul Heyman comes in and
Bundle!
Bundle!
I think if that was to happen, the next, as you said, what's the next thing? It's either Roman loses or Solo turns. Now, imagine if we got the Solo turn and Roman loses on the same night. He has no one. The thing that Cody has said, you have no family, you have no one by your side. The only person he's got is Heyman. Now Roman's got to defeat the odds.
And the thing as well is Solo seems like the one that Roman is most scared of as well.
Yeah. They had that little look in the ring. They've bumped into him, didn't they?
Yeah. They've already kind of planted some seeds. So I reckon it could happen. Where we go from there, I don't know. I guess there'll be a feud there'll still be a feud there. One, it elongates the title reign, obviously because of what's happening, and it's kind of amongst the bloodline. From that, we could get another Samoan dynasty or dynasty, however you want to say the word, as in being Jimmy J and Solo. Do they have another brother, right?
Yeah,
I think So I'm not saying, but that he comes in. But I mean, Rikishi could be about for a bit, as you said, like a managerial role or something like that. But I think now it's a case of, I think the best thing for them to do would be Roman is Solo, or Roman is just with Heyman.
It's confusing using the word Solo. I was like, wait. Roman is Solo? What?
Roman's with Heyman.
When did that happen?
I mean, what you could even do is Roman's got 3 belts. There's 3 people in the match. You could just clock one of them with each of his belts, isn't it?
Pass it on.
There we go.
I think Roman then trying to overcome them odds, I think that's his challenge. So it's a mountain to climb because he needs to prove that he's still better than them. He's still the head of the table. So
but traditionally you don't really put barriers up against the villain. You put them against the face.
Yeah, but by putting them against the villain, it's because they want to turn him babyface at some point. So will he turn babyface by the end of this run? I don't know. But
I think it might be a way to give him back credibility if he loses people. And like within the bloodline, it is him left or him and Heyman left. And then he beats that person who says you can't do it. But then eventually he's beat. So it gives him that credibility back without, because then people go into WrestleMania thinking he could beat Cody without anyone now because he beat such and such at the Rumble without anyone.
Exactly.
And then he loses it eventually.
Yeah. So I think, and plus, as you said, if you're putting barriers in the way of the heel, normally the heel does like they cheat to win, they do whatever, as Roman's done throughout, let's say 70% of his title reign.
That's controversial.
But with him having barriers in place of you have to do this, you've got to beat this person. It's a 2-on-1 handicap. You have to go against Solo with people at your side. He then doesn't have anyone because at one point he had Heyman, Jimmy J, Solo, and Sammy in his corner. Then to just go to having Paul Heyman in his corner, he has no one else. And if Heyman gets taken out or sent backstage, he's on his own. So I think it's a different dynamic, and we literally see another level of Roman, and that's where he goes God mode, as he said before. And I think that really shows. So then, if it does happen, I'm not against anyone whoever beats him, and that'll be a good way. Especially imagine if it was, I don't want to say it's The Rock that wins, but if Rock coming out and Roman's like, I've beat everyone in the family, I am untouchable, and the Rock's music goes.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? I think there's something from that can grow. So I'm going with the Usos.
We're split as well.
The wise man.
It's an RN Pro Wrestling Civil War, boys.
Yeah.
And if you notice as well, it's basically like the sides of the screen as well.
Yeah.
So you got you two over that side, us two over this side. But so we got Alex Davenport in here again. The Usos win or Roman barely wins, I reckon. Yeah, I think it is going to be one of them. I think if Roman does win, I don't think it's going to be like a decisive thing where he'll go in and like spear both the Usos.
Yeah, they got to look good.
It will literally be a case of, I think he will just scrape. If he does win, it will be a scrape by.
The only thing
a fingertip in, so he's got one fingertip on it, and that's the only way. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be if he wins, he's got to be like that dramatic, like he's dragged himself over to it.
Yeah, result aside, though, I'm just hoping that they don't do too much or referee down and about 1,000 things happening. You know, like half an hour without the ref, and I'm just hoping that it's a bit more controlled because
what if Paul Heyman just ripped his shirt off and Paul Heyman's got a ref shirt on underneath, and that's how it ends. Paul Heyman.
It did it for RVD to win the title.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping that, result aside, it's becoming a bit excessive now. Every Roman match turns into like 30 minutes. Of
ref bump central,
And the thing is, though, as much as this storyline is one of the greatest things that's happened in wrestling history at this point, for it to go and last, it needs to kind of have a spark at the end. And there is that risk that if there's been no cash in, that people are going to expect a cash in or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how if it isn't an Usos and the babyface sending the crowd home happy, and it is Roman winning again, how do they therefore send the fans home happy?
It have to be a cash in.
What's Tyson Fury doing? He's probably got a song in him, hasn't he? The weirdest end to a pay-per-view, I swear to God.
No, they're going to get Elton John's coming out.
Well.
Oh, yeah, we did say earlier Elton John might show up. So
Elton's coming out, mate.
It's such a British thing to do, is have like a little knees up at the end of a pay-per-view.
Especially because most of our chants are like songs, sort of like football based, isn't it? It's like they did just think they like singing.
I mean,
maybe they do like a pass the parcel, isn't it?
I would say they get like Chaz and David
this morning, and
Rabbit
Lorraine Kelly would be there.
yeah, Chaz and Dave just go to Paul Heyman like rabbit. Yeah, just got to him, mate. You got more rabbit than Sainsbury's, and he's looking at him like, "What the hell was a Sainsbury's?
What are you talking about?" Yeah.
What's this rabbit you speak of? Right. Shall we get into actually talking about Money in the Bank now?
Oh, the matches themselves, yeah.
The actual Money in the Bank ladder matches. So we are going to kick off with the women's side of things, which features Io Sky, Trish Stratus, Zoe Stark, Becky Lynch, Zelina Vega, and London's adopted daughter of Bailey. The Bailey second home, isn't it? London, pretty much, with where the crowd love to sing that very song. So let's see who is going to go first for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. It is number 2.
No! I was literally going to say, please don't be me. Was that Ted DiBiase in the chat? What was that?
So it is
crap.
Scott
Right, I'm gonna do as we do when we get these kind of multi-person matches in. Try and do process of elimination.
So I'll keep
That
this up
never
one.
works for you. Why are you doing that? Just pick someone.
Shut up, mate. It's gonna help me get there.
I mean, I've got a dice. If you want me to just roll
Yeah,
like a
do that.
normal 6-sided dice, I can just
Take
roll
potluck.
one and whatever
Right.
order.
I do think whoever wins it will have the briefcase for a while, right? And it's the current champions are Rhea and Asuka.
Yeah. And
So-
also, if anyone doesn't cash in on the night, fun fact for everybody, if they don't cash in on the night, they are officially the second longest Money in the Bank women's holder in history after Carmella, who
Make
is
history
actually
twice.
who is the longest Money in the Bank holder, I believe.
And the only
men
one that had
or
a
women's.
it had a decent storyline as well. So it's weird they haven't done it again. So
Can I just say, technically, Asuka didn't even cash in. She just opened a briefcase and her
Yeah,
title was
yeah.
in there. Officially,
that's a
she's
good
still
point.
the longest.
yeah, maybe. Okay, right. So you know what? I don't think Zoe Stark's going to win, but I'm interested in the Trish thing, so I'm going to come back to that. EO, depending on the champion, and it's not who's below her there in Bailey, so therefore I don't see it being her. Bailey's won it before.
We can't get a little pen and just like cross them
So-
out as you say. It's
yeah,
not.
Bailey's won it before, so I kind of not 100% sure. Even though I think looking at that field, she should be one of the next champions. So that's the only thing. I think she'd be great holding the briefcase. So I'll put it to one side. Zelina did fantastic in Puerto Rico. Big fan of Zelina anyway. Don't see it happening.
Repping the
Becky-
London World Order as well, mate.
That's true. Becky, has she ever won it?
No, she
No.
said it's the only thing that she's not won, and
And I feel
she's
like
really
they've been bubbling around on the surface, waiting to give her something else. You know,
But she did pull the briefcase down on Raw, so
oh, that's the omen of it's not going to happen then.
yeah.
Okay, let's say. I think.
So the only one you've really not touched on is Io Sky.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think a few months ago she had that great match, but I think because of storyline wise, I don't see it. Unless, rather than it being the title that Bailey's jealous over, it's the briefcase that Bailey's jealous over. So, we could potentially get that.
Unless it's Io wins it and they keep wanging on about, it's any title. And then Bailey's like, oh, yeah, you should cash in for the tag titles, cash in for the tag titles,
encourage her
cash
to
in for
just
the tag
get rid of it.
titles. And then she's like, no, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and face Asuka and have an absolute banger.
Yeah, but you could do. That'd be an interesting storyline to do.
And
Something
become
the
the undisputed women's WWE Divas champion.
Yeah. All right. I got to make my mind up, right? So I'm going to bring that up again. I'm not against the idea of it being Trish. I got to be honest. I always
You're
say
not the only one.
First ever ladder match as well.
Well, I
Trish.
always say, in case you wonder where Lucas is, he'll be back in a moment, I'm sure.
It's probably just gone for a wee.
Yeah, I always say it should be the upper mid card breaking through, and that's what I'm pleased about with the men's one, which we'll get into, of course. But this is the exception. I think Trish has been amazing. I think it's exactly what I wanted from a heel turn. It's exactly what I wanted from a legend Hall of Famer coming back and starting to have a character rather than the character of I'm a Hall of Famer. Although she's done that, but in a heel way, in a way we haven't really seen before. So, I've touched on that quite a bit on the channel over the past few months, and I've been a big fan. And I think this kind of gives that more legs, really. So I can kind of see that. And other than that, who does she continue to feud with? Is it another up and comer, or does she stay with Becky? Because I think that's kind of going to run its course soon. And obviously, there comes the risk of, well, Becky's going to be the one to do it, really. So I'm stuck with Trish, Becky, and Bailey. My heart goes towards Trish or Bailey. My mind's kind of leads towards Becky just because they always seem to, want to keep. She's been out of the title picture, and credit to her, she's done good work since. So, I think let me eliminate one first. Let me eliminate.
Oh wait, you've added someone.
Hey, I've added some. Hey!
You've added one, not eliminated one.
I'm gonna go with this. I want to go with storyline, and I'm gonna go with someone holding the briefcase. And I think it works better as a heel. So there, I'm eliminating Becky. So I'm going with Trish or Bailey. I want the world for both of them for different reasons. And the champion.
Can you
So
hear his
both-
brains ticking?
Heel, sharp.
So Trish is technically on
At least my batteries
Raw.
don't need replacing like yours, mate. Yours is still going.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Go on, what was that, Dan?
I think Trish is technically on Raw, so
Okay.
Rhea
But
Ripley would be the
Asuka,
champion
I don't think
forever.
Asuka's gonna have a title for long.
Ooh.
And I think Rhea is. So I think
So
the
you're
baby-
predicting. So you're predicting Charlotte Flair to win Money in the Bank. Okay. She'll be in London.
Is that happening on SmackDown?
Yeah.
Title match.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Charlotte will be.
Charlotte is technically a babyface, right?
Well.
Mm.
So basically,
She's Charlotte
We
Flair.
don't know
innit?
where Charlotte's face is from nowadays, let's be real. Instead of be a
Okay.
Mexican face, Brazilian
Oh.
face.
Right.
Fourth new face.
Okay, come on, guys. Come on.
Thought he was chugging a beer then.
I think even. You know what? I'm gonna go like how Lucas went mad the other year and gave the Rumble or the Chamber. I think it was
Shango.
to Lita.
Linda McMahon is not winning it.
But
Okay.
no, it makes sense. This is the time where you do give it to a Hall of Famer who's kind of doing a new chapter in a career. And what a thing for the Money in the Bank prestige and also for Trish's career. So because Bailey's had it before, I'm going to go for Trish Stratus. And I can't wait to see her with a briefcase. I think she'll be great with Zoe at her side as well. So
You're not going to go with Alundra Blaze and then she's just going to drop it in a bin.
Not quite. No.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm locking in Trish. It's close.
Trish Stratus locked in. Lucas, round to yourself. Do you need the field being brought up again?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have. There we go. Io Sky, Trish Stratus, Zoe Stark, Bailey, Zelina Vega, and Becky Lynch.
Cool. So Io Sky is number 1 and Becky Lynch is number 6. Round number generator. Number 5, Zelina Vega is winning. I don't care about this match.
Oh,
Did you literally just roll a dice?
Yeah, Zelina Vega is winning.
I know you don't. You might not care, Lucas, but like, who do you
There's not-
think? Who do you think? Do you not have an indication?
no.
He thinks
Right.
Zelina Vega. He just said.
Right. Can
Um,
I lock you in for Natalia then if you're going to do that weird prediction?
I don't know. The only person I had in my head coming into this probably was Bailey, but she already won it, so I don't think they'll do it again.
The first person. Oh, I'd say.
No,
No, she wouldn't be the
Carmella.
first- She's done it twice. Didn't she,
Carmella?
Carmella?
No.
Mm.
I may have technically won it twice, but I mean, yeah. James Ellsworth.
Controversial, isn't
It's just because they haven't really done much with this division outside of the big matches. You know what I mean? I mean, Trish and Becky are feuding, and then you got the whole like Io and Bailey could turn on each other. Don't see them giving it to Zoe Stark. You know, even though to be fair, you could argue this should be what Money in the Bank should be used for catapult
Yeah.
people. And with the women only able to cash in obviously on 2 belts.
Well,
The main
technically
cash-in
it'd be 4. Technically, the women can cash in on if they're saying any belt. So I guess it could be the NXT Women's Championship and the tag titles as well. Because they've said any championship. Imagine like one of the women win it. Imagine like say Trish wins it and then she's like, "Oh yeah, Gunther, I want you."
Yeah. No, but like,
the first thing he does is just chop her.
so what, Lucas? Why you dipped out? Dan was saying that you could get Io win it and Bailey convinces her to make it about the tag titles, and that's how she technically becomes Money in the Bank winner as well. And I think that same thing could be done with Io and Zoe and Trish. So yeah, I like that idea. It's not bad. But yeah.
I don't know. I guess
it beats when Otis won it.
Allowing WWE to get in our head and make Money in the Bank turn from World Championship opportunity to actually win tag belts. With someone, particularly tag belts, which with the women's case we know are just not where they should be.
But does that give prestige to that title?
I'll get serious about the match now. Like, okay, jokey things aside, because to be fair, like when it came up, I was like, any of the other 5 would have been appreciated. But Zelina, I'd say, with the one I think has the least amount of chance of winning.
Wow.
The match. I'd start doing Scott Spross's elimination, then I guess. So it's a case of So I've dismissed Zelina. Then you got the fact that Trish and Becky are feuding, and you got Bayley and Io Sky in the same thing. So you could argue, in my head at least, only 2 of those 4 could be those last kind of 2 fighting it out, because the other 2 would have to get kind of taken out of the match. I don't think Bayley will win a second. I don't see a 2-time winner happening. So I'm now down really between Trish and
Zoe, Becky,
Io.
and Io.
Yeah, I'll dismiss Becky because I think just no.
Do you tie Zoe? Thing is, it's like, because you've got Zoe and Trish are technically like a team, and then you've got Bayley and Io as a team. So you got like Becky and Zelina are the only 2 kind of like standalone, what you'd class as like singles people in that.
Both babyface at least.
But essentially, like Becky or Trish have to cost each other the match, or like, I mean, there has to be the big one of them takes out the other basically in this.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm going that Trish takes her out. I see Io. Yeah, so if that happens in my head, then Io finally stands up to Bayley and, you know, does something to Bayley to get her out. And so she's now de facto babyface in this. Because you could argue, obviously, Becky's like really only babyface, and Zelina, I guess, but no, she won't get a pop. Bless her.
I'll cheer for her.
Yeah, I would.
She barely got a pop in her own country.
Oh, come on. No, that's controversial take. No.
Who's that?
Zelina.
Zelina.
Yeah, okay. So now I'm between Trish and Io Sky. Oh, because I'm picking between those 2 people, and solely the only reason I'm thinking of is the promos will be better if Trish Stratus wins out of those 2 people, based on that, because Money in the Bank for me is always about the promos, the presentation, the story, all that kind of stuff. And I love Io Sky. I really do. I really think her and Bianca Belair had a bloody fantastic match. Not women's match at whatever one it was a few months ago. WrestleMania Backlash after it. But
Backlash.
I don't think I still just don't think they'd go with a non-English speaker kind of in this role. It doesn't fit. So it would make sense if it was Bayley, because then she'd have, you know, she'd be by her side, I guess, still. But I think having Io wouldn't be weird. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Trish. I think it is. There are these spots for legends that they can win, and AEW have shown they're happy to give legends, obviously, championships and opportunities, obviously, to win their big matches. And so why not in WWE? You know, especially someone like Trish, who's proven she can still go.
Yeah.
So she'll keep her going, and this keeps her going. And obviously, you know, she could be the one, because she's part-time-ish as well. She could be the one to obviously, you know, be able to dip in and out of this. Do you know what I mean?
Extend holding it.
Extend her having the briefcase for a longer time, and that shot to just come back to eventually cash in on someone. And there's so many matches where she could go into, especially now she's villain. So yeah, Trish Stratus.
And the women's Money in the Bank, let's not forget as well, has a 100% cash-in record as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Right.
I've seen in the comments that Alex is going the opposite way to your final 2 there. It says Io and says that judging how damage control is being used at the time, I reckon. And Zelina might have another shot though. So yeah, not writing off Zelina there as well. So yeah, thanks for your comments, Alex. Appreciate it. And everyone else on the chat or watching on demand.
All right. Can you just stick the graphic up so I can just
No.
all the names? I know what I'm doing. All right. So look, Trish, Zoe, and Becky are in a feud right now. Zelina she's just around. She's doing the LWO stuff. She had a great thing at moment at Backlash. And you got Io and Bayley. I think this is going to be the end of Damage Control. I'm good with the graphic now. I just couldn't remember who was where. So this is going to be the end of Damage Control. Io is going to be becoming a babyface. I can see that happening. I don't see it being Bayley, Zelina, and I don't see it being Io. Now this is where it might be controversial. I feel like bonus pointing it again because I'm feeling lucky, guys. Let me give you my point though. Right, ready?
Charlotte Flair.
Papa Shank, no. So I reckon this is what's going to happen. Trish Stratus is going to be holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. However,
Yeah.
Trish Stratus will not be winning this match Zoe Stark will, and she will be giving that briefcase to Trish.
I hate stuff like that, but it could happen.
So I think Trish is going to be out, like not unconscious, but out of it.
Yeah.
Becky will have her fingertips on it. Zoe Stark will be there. She'll knock her down, take the briefcase down. Trish will get it, start celebrating.
Do you think maybe they? Because I thought it was like straight up storyline and it didn't make sense, but they just gave it and they just ignored it. Or do you think it could be like the ref doesn't see it, that it's been given to Trish? That I like that. I like Zoe grabbing it.
I'd like to see Zoe grabbing it and Trish having the title. So
Yeah,
I feel like Trish is going to be the Money in the Bank.
Or do you mean or do you mean Zoe unhooked? Like Zoe gets the briefcase.
I can see
Zoe's announced as the winner as Miss Money in the Bank is Zoe Stark, and then like the next night or Monday on Raw, she then goes, "Oh, I won this." So technically, Zoe is Miss Money in the Bank, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm going to now give this to Trish." So Zoe would actually win the match, technically, like be announced as the winner of the match.
So I think Zoe Stark's going to win a match, right? She's going to become the Money in the Bank. But I think the way they're going to do it is the case of not bullying. I obviously because they've got to be a star stuff, and the way that's done. But I think she's going to be doing we're a team. So if you've got it, I've got it.
See,
and it will be that sort of thing.
I was kind of thinking maybe there'd be a scenario where Zoe is having a dilemma and she prevents Becky from getting to Trish, who is about to unhook it. But Zoe's thinking, I could get to that, and they play off of that, but this is how they deal with the Becky thing. But I kind of like this scenario that we've kind of walked into there of not muddying things up by kind of announcing Zoe as the winner, but like even this amazing moment in the ring where the ref is slowly getting up and Trish just going, give it to me. Zoe's in her head thinking, I haven't been announced yet, but I could be as soon as this ref gets up. And then there's that split moment where she gives it to Trish because eventually Zoe's turning on Trish, right? This is how these things go.
There we go.
Do they even have refs in the Money in the Bank match? I think
are they outside the ring?
I think there's
they've got to be hit by all the ladders. They're all falling down. And then this beautiful moment in the ring, I think would be fantastic.
When obviously Jeff Hardy or whatever would do his massive swanton on the big ladder, Julia referee holding that ladder, isn't there?
Yeah.
At the bottom.
I mean,
Rob, on your point, I'm just remembering the most random ladder match that ever existed. But I think it was a triple threat ladder match. It definitely involved Dolph Ziggler as he won the match. But how they played it is the two wrestlers were fighting at the top, doing a tug of war for the title. It fell and it dropped into Dolph's hand.
Yeah.
And so that created the rule that whoever kind of retrieves the title or claims ownership or possession of the title. So they could do something like this with the briefcase, where Zoe fumbles getting the briefcase or whatever, and it falls into his arms. And
I think
then
that happened
with
Otis as well.
That happened with Otis because he caught it, didn't he?
I think that worked better the other way, where the new up and coming heel is like accidentally cost her boss, basically, and the boss is like, give it back. So, but some really cool scenarios for both of them.
There's also another one, which is it's on like this big like hook thing, isn't it? So they could pull like the hook thing down, and then Trish technically, like Zoe gives it to her, and then technically she just unclips it from that. So I've got the unclipped briefcase.
I just feel like it's going to be.
Was it Cena that like pulled it off? And
Cena broke. Yeah, he was hitting with Big Show, wasn't it? And the handle broke.
Yeah.
That won't.
What if they both pull it down at the same time?
It's possible. It's a possibility.
Then you have to go for the tag titles.
It'd be like Lay Cool, wouldn't it? They just get half the briefcase. Just cut it in half.
But even that, like even a scenario of picking up, I can't. They seem to chop and change what means you've won it. But like, let's say they pull down the big thing, the initial clip, but not the second on the briefcase. And Trish or Zoe can be the one that unhooks it, like Dan says, and then has to be like, I didn't even realize like that's what I was doing. I thought you'd already won it, Like they could even play it like that. Not so much, I knew that you hadn't fully done it, so I secretly did it. They could even do it that the second person that unclips it was only doing the first one a favor and didn't even mean to. So again, so many cool scenarios that, like, for me, it's got to be something to do with these two now.
Yeah. So I'm going Zoe Stark because I think the idea of I love the idea of Trish having it. I mean, I'm not the biggest Trish fan. I've always preferred Lita. And that's nothing on Trish, but Lita was my favorite. Hardy, I love the Hardys and stuff like that. And obviously Edge. So
Lita was your favorite, one of the Hardys.
So when she was with the Hardys and then she went on with Edge, stop that. But I just think if Trish was to do it now, she'll be the very first Hall of Famer to do it. I believe, is it ever, I believe. which would be
Yeah,
fantastic to see.
so.
But I want the record book to say that it was Zoe, not Trish. So it's
Okay.
always there. As Zoe Stark was our
Okay.
Money in the Bank. Trish Stratus was the one that cashed in.
So
So
yeah,
I don't think we've had.
So
You're
like the
picking
first
Zoe.
one where James
I'm-
Ellsworth was Mr. Money in the Bank.
To a degree, yeah. But I'm going with Zoe. But whatever scenario happens, I just want it to be something to do with those two, because I think that would be such a great dynamic. And
Yeah.
oh, like I took it off, and even if she takes it off and drops it down to her, and then she's got it. Do you know what I mean? Or like, or she does something with a hook, and the hook breaks, or something. Just something like that. So then Trish has it.
So to clarify, for us, the winner of the match is whoever the ring announcer says the winner of this match and Miss Money in the
Yeah.
Bank.
yeah.
No.
Yeah. But I'm regardless of all that, I'm still saying Zoe. I think it'll be
Okay.
that'd be fun.
And you're not going to bonus point any of that. You're just Zoe's winning it. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, should I bonus point that?
Because if it's not going to happen on the show, it's technically not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can't be bonus point something else.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I
it's-
guess
it'd
so.
be
All
like,
right, so
be like me saying, "Oh, they're going to."
Unless you think it is on the show.
They're going to have a WrestleMania bonus point. They're going to have a WrestleMania.
I
I mean,
dunno.
talking of WrestleMania, like Tony reckons Trish will cash in Money in the Bank to win one last title before she disappears.
Possibly.
She's going to evaporate.
She will end Charlotte Flair's 50th title reign at WrestleMania.
She's an element.
I tell you, what,
What? Yeah, disappear. She's just gonna just disintegrate it soon. Just be like standing in the ring, and it will just be like Power Rangers. Just gone.
My mission is complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Oh, man,
now
I'm on-
now for what
Well-
seems like about an hour.
I think he's still thinking about the bonus point though, right?
I keep going. I'm thinking about the bonus point.
Well, I don't know, man. We've got to move on. Can't come back to it.
Right.
I
Lock
do know
it
what.
in
So
or you
look,
don't.
5
I-
seconds.
I-
5.
All right, I've got a bonus
Four.
point. Zoe Stark wins it, and then she gives it to Trish on the night.
Like
Okay.
actually wants to give
Actually,
it. Yeah.
she gives it to her. Then
She makes a
she wins
decision.
it.
She's
then
won
makes a
it,
decision
and she
to give
hands it over.
Yeah.
On the night. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Be cool.
Okay,
Be cool.
so that's bonus pointing. So even if Zoe Stark wins, it's like,
I get nil point.
yeah, cool. Okay,
Still-
fair
still-
enough. Right, so let's get this filled back up again. Now, so as much as I think she's done some good work recently, I'm going to write off Zelina Vega straight away. So weirdly, I think I would write. See, the thing is, I'm totally different to you guys. I think I'm going to write off both Trish and Zoe.
After all that.
After all that, I'm
Didn't say, you know?
writing up. I don't think it's going to be Trish or Zoe, to be honest.
Okay.
See now, Becky, I'm thinking Becky and Bailey are probably the two, in my opinion, that are going to get like the biggest pops out of the whole lot. So now we know that Triple H is obviously quite a fan of like give the fans what they want, and seemingly Becky obviously pulling the briefcase down. It's like that's the curse of that. So, and it's the one thing that Becky's never done. So it would make sense, I think, then in that sense for Becky to win it in her home, whatever
Side of the world.
Yeah,
Not
basically
quite home country,
a stone's throw from her hometown. Like unless they do one literally in Ireland, it's probably as close as they're gonna get to having like.
Maybe.
So yeah, so in that sense, that for me that makes a bit of sense for Becky to win. I think especially if Finn's not going to win against Seth, it makes sense for Becky to win. Then you go with Bailey. Obviously, we know how beloved Bailey is over here in the UK as well. And obviously, the London fans will get right behind Bailey. She could become a 2-time winner of Money in the Bank. But then you've got, I think, Io is the dark horse of it, because I feel as though it could be that thing of Io and Bailey atop the ladder. And like what you were saying with the Trish and Zoe thing, but with Io and Bailey. And it's like, right, what do we do? And yeah, because I reckon the way I reckon it's gonna pan out is if it is gonna be coming down to Io and Bailey, it's gonna be that Trish, Zoe, and Becky wipe each other out. Like one of those like big crazy like ladder spots where it just wipes the three of them out completely.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got obviously Io, Bailey, and Zelina's just there to kind of like tease that she's going to get it. But so I think I'm probably going to narrow it down. So as much as I really want Becky to win it, I think I'm going to have to narrow it down to Io and Bailey. So the Damage Control girls.
Okay.
Or will it be Becky? I don't know. I keep going back.
It's got to be one of them.
It's got to be one of the six.
Well,
You never know.
So I think so. It's Charlotte Flair, isn't it? It's got to be. She's in bloody London. She's going to win it.
she won Money Up. She hadn't, has she?
She's been cashed in on the most times, I think.
Wow.
You don't get 15 title reigns without being cashed in on like loads of times. 14 even. It's bloody hard. Like literally. So you know how I always say, I always go into this thinking like I know who I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
So putting it out there, my pick was Io Sky from the start.
Really?
Kind of
Oh.
yeah. So I thought Io Sky because I'm thinking the reason for going with Io was because I feel as though
Gotta do it.
her and Asuka would just be like an incredible banger of a match. And so if you're going to put over Io Sky as like, if you're going to put over babyface Io Sky, you put her in there with Asuka, you know, that they can't claim that there's going to be any kind of communication breakdown because obviously both of them are Japanese. They're going to be communicating with each other there. I think that is probably going to be, I think that could even be like one of the money matches for SummerSlam potentially.
I think the problem you're going to have with that is you have to go back to outside of just the match. Like, how do you do that feud, that rivalry with how WWE do television? It's promos, it's talk shows, it's contract signings. They don't speak English. Like,
I mean, some good interactions lately together though, but maybe they just dragged that out.
Well, I mean, this is going to sound controversial, but half of them probably don't speak English anyway. So all like this American English, isn't it? It's not proper English.
Come on, hey.
Not Queen's English.
So any American viewers out there, those are not the views of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We appreciate your subscriptions.
They are. Yeah, just mine. just mine, guys. But no, I know I digress. So, see, the thing is, the more everyone's saying about Trish and Zoe, the more I'm thinking it's not going to be them. And it makes obviously, the big crash and burn with Becky. There's always a big crash and burn moment in one of these ladder matches, and I think it is normally a blood feud that's within a Money in the Bank match, and I think that's going to be that big moment. You know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet and go Io Sky. I think because I think that she's gonna do something with Bailey, or do I go Bailey? No.
Come on.
This is tricky. Io or Bailey? It's Io or Bailey, in my opinion. Io or Bailey. It is gonna be. I think Io Sky's gonna do it. You know. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Io Sky, and I think what's gonna happen. I think it will get down to the two of them atop the ladder, and you know. I think it is going to be a case of Bailey's going to be trying to guilt trip her into doing the tag title thing, but eventually it will be an Io winning it. It could even be that Bailey is obviously, like we said about the promo thing, Bailey could be like her spokesperson kind of thing, and it's like, she's going to cash in on the tag titles, and that's the plan all along, and then just randomly in an Asuka match, she just comes running out with it and cashes in. So I'm locking in Io Sky to win Money in the Bank.
I mean, you know what? I like that idea there, especially if Bailey's in a match against Asuka. And that's
I was going to say,
Io run in and go, wait, what the heck? You know, that'd be pretty cool.
Or even if Bailey beats Asuka and then she cashes in in on her. So
the thing is, though, it makes it known that there's so many different ways to do the cash-in stuff now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hopefully, Triple H and the creative find like a new way of doing it, you know, for you know, than the both the winners of the briefcase. It's been very samey, isn't it? The last few years, it's been very samey, and obviously,
and
yeah,
I think
a bit different.
And I think as well, this is why as well, I feel as though, and I think they're doing it deliberately. The fact that there's not a women's singles title match on the show is because they obviously are like, well, we've done a women's cash-in on the night so often.
Yeah.
So I guess the only way that they are going to have a women's cash-in on the night is if it's for the women's tag titles. Unless they try and cash in on one of the blokes.
Yeah, I hope not.
So let's get into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We are only 2 hours in, so probably we've gone longer than what SmackDown's going to go. We're officially over the 2 hour mark, so let's go for this match, which features Damian Priest, Butch, or maybe Pete Dunne, who knows, Santos Escobar, LA Knight, yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura, Logan Paul, and Rick O'Shea. So let's see who is going to be going first on this final prediction. It is
That'll be me again.
Number 3, Lucas.
I already know mine, so if you want to move over, and then I can. You know,
oh, wait, cheeky.
I know mine.
Right. So.
Do you need the graphic up, or do you know him?
Yeah. We can dismiss Butch. We can dismiss Santos Escobar, as no one knows who he is. We can dismiss.
Oh man. Not an LWO fan.
Yeah. Lucas looking at this is like, wait, who are these guys?
Who's that one with the hair?
Where's Earthquake and natural disasters?
Controversial. I think we can just dismiss LA Knight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nah. I think it's between Trevor, Logan Paul, and Damian Priest.
For all the people that don't know, Trevor is Ricochet.
Yeah.
Not Murdoch. Not Murdoch.
Oh, so I think the LA Knight, it seems too obvious. I know that's a cliche in these wrestling podcasts. You can hear it quite a lot throughout the week. It's too obvious. But it is like it's just literally before the match was even announced, people were like, LA Knight has to win it.
Yeah.
And are they just going to see the fact that they're selling the merch with him losing anyway? So just keep it up. Like, you know. And it's just, for me, there's that bit of me where I'm like, Money in the Bank's meant to launch a career. Like, this guy, obviously, you know, is Eli Drake being an Impact, Ring of Honor, you know, yada, yada, you know, successful career outside of this. But he's 41. It's just, is this the right
young for WWE?
But I just feel other people, thing is, because the same people who praise and want LA Knight will dismiss Shinsuke, who's like the same age, like give or take.
The thing is, at the age of 41, Roman would be about another 3 or 4 years into his title reign. He'll probably still be champion by then.
See, I don't think people dismiss Shinsuke because of his age. I think they dismiss Shinsuke because of his presentation.
Yeah, presentation, but sorry, an argument that was presented about Shinsuke where he hasn't had that much said because of his age.
Right.
But he came to slow down his style, so he wouldn't have to work the Japanese style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, that's the reason. And, you know, and then obviously, WWE have had, you know, looking at my wall, I've got Randy Savage up here. You know, Savage was someone who years ago they said, you're too old, we don't want you main event anymore. We're going to transition you into commentator. And then he went to WCW and obviously had full sets there. They do this quite often. They do say that, look, you are done kind of thing. Because it's a problem they've had, which is why people like Mark Henry and Big Show left the company. They said, look, you know, there's other roles for us in AEW. They're happy to have us do bits and pieces. Sting, someone else, again, on my wall right here. You know, Sting, you know, he was mentally retired by WWE. They said, look, you ain't doing this anymore for us. Ain't gonna happen. In AEW, and everyone's talking about him versus Jericho at All In. So, you know, 6-7 years after WWE said you're never going to do it again.
Yeah.
So just to make a point as well. So Nakamura's 43. Santos Escobar's 39.
Yeah.
AJ Styles was 39.
It's all perception, isn't it? It's all perception. But
But yeah, I just feel a bit like it's too obvious. But then, is it too obvious because it is just what's going to happen? But I don't think so, because I think we've got to look at where realistically this cash-in is going to take place. And it's going to be for the World Heavyweight Championship, or, to be fair, with some of the field in this match, it could even be for the Intercontinental Championship or United States Championship. Yeah. You know, at the way that this, sadly, that this, in my opinion, is just not the strongest people. You know, mid-card in the bank, you can call it, I guess.
Actually, do you know LA Knight's actually he's not 41. He's only 40. He's 2 months younger than 2 months younger than Damian Priest.
Okay.
So the three I've left in the field are Damian Priest, because of the Judgement Day link that we mentioned earlier, about an hour and a half ago on this podcast.
Yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, thanks to everyone that stuck with us live or on demand.
Yeah, morning,
then
guys.
The forever controversial Logan Paul. Because of the fact that we can't underestimate the fact that him winning this would be huge. It would be huge. He would be to be real. He would be the most talked about Money in the Bank winner of all time. Like a shout out.
And to do it in London as well, like TMZ headline of Logan Paul wins in London makes it sound
imagine KSI is probably going to be there as well.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe.
You know, all the other Muppets.
Prime. Imagine if he done that, bro. Imagine he could just open a briefcase and there's Prime bottles in there. Such good marketing.
Did you see him get pelted with him earlier?
No.
I saw that on Twitter. Yeah.
But then this any belt thing. I've only watched clips of I think it was Raw, and they keep mentioning this any belt, any belt, any championship kind of thing. That screams Trevor for me. It screams him, because I'm just thinking that's their way of basically saying the person who's going to win this is not going to challenge for the World Championship. And Ricochet is literally like this person who, you know, you can imagine least challenging for the World Championship, but you could imagine Ricochet. Yes, Trevor can do it. Didn't Gunther beat Trevor to win the IC belt?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ricochet winning him, he cashed in just before Gunther breaks the record. There we go.
What?
There we go. That's your way of doing it. And then the honky tonk man comes. Yeah, there we are. Ricochet winning.
And that gives kind of stature, I guess, to it being a mid-card title, right?
To be serious with this though, Ricochet is like really beloved by fans. They need to get a big pop on here. Like I think he would get that reaction. Like going through the field, Logan Paul will get booed like crazy. Then you've got LA Knight, who everyone thinks is going to win anyway. So I don't know if that pop would be as loud, as prevalent.
Yeah.
Because it's meant to happen. And then you got the problem with LA Knight. If he wins, people will want him to win the World Championship. But if the plan is for this to be the mid-card championship cash-in, this is the problem they've created now. You see what I'm saying? They've created a problem where any championship now on the thing. So you could have like a tag team wrestler enter and go, yeah, they're going to win it and win the tag belts. You know, obviously. Like Shad Gable, he's going to be Money in the Bank and win it, and him and Otis face the tag belts, isn't it? They've created this problem now. Because now I think, because they keep mentioning it, one of the cash-ins has to be on a belt that is not a world championship. And the only one realistically you can do it with is the men, because the women haven't got a mid-card championship. You could argue the tag belts, but it's a line and a go down. The men have two distinct mid-card championships, the United States and the Intercontinental.
I mean,
so I'm going down.
Do you know what would actually be really, what would actually bang? Ricochet versus Wesley for the North America.
Yeah, true. I'm only going down because WWE have opened it.
Trevor. Just makes me laugh every time you say Trevor.
Between Trevor and Logan Paul, are they crazy enough to do it on Logan though?
The thing you got to think about as well is and I'll say this to all of you guys, think a little bit smart about what you've picked for the women's one, because I don't think they're going to have like two heels win or two faces win.
Okay, so that then means
you guys have all said heels for the women's one, so Trish and Zoe.
But then it doesn't matter, because if one only holds up like a month, let's say they don't do the next day or same day cash in. Let's say they do like one at SummerSlam, and then have another cash in later on. That's a lot of months for someone to turn and flip flop and the new champions to happen and all this kind of stuff. So I think
they're probably not thinking about that. They're probably just thinking more about on the night, what's going to get a pop on the night kind of thing.
Exactly. Or is it what gets reaction? Oh, I'm so torn between Logan Paul and Ricochet. Ricochet is because they've gone down that rabbit hole, the any belt thing for me. And that would make sense because he's someone who, realistically, people will be okay with him not cashing in for the World Championship. You know, I don't believe there's many fans out there who actually think Ricochet's going to beat Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins for that championship. But they would get behind a program where Ricochet faces Austin Theory or faces Gunther and has that as a cash-in.
Randy Orton.
He'd be one of those that he'd be dumb enough to do the whole announce cash-in bollocks as well, wouldn't he? Do the whole, at SummerSlam cashing in, and then do it that way. His babyface. It would help elevate him. He's been there for ages as well. You know, didn't he just resign this year as well? Like he's ticking a lot of those boxes.
I guess it's a reason for an IC champion who's had such a long, strong reign to lose as well.
Everything's pushing towards him.
What about Pete Dunne as well?
Paul, and it's just a case of how quickly can they get him out of that area. Iptip. Oh, you know what? Final answer.
Wow.
Who are you locking in?
Trevor.
So Trevor, final answer. Rob, before he goes back and changes his mind.
Rob, you said yours was easy. Is it still easy?
There's only one person that's going to be taking that money in the bank. And I can spit it for you. L.A. Knight. Yeah. That's it, bro. He's got to have it. The promos alone without that briefcase is money. The promos with that briefcase is going to be even better. The fact that he can come out, he'll taunt everyone, he'll hot potato himself across other shows. But it's made for someone like him. If they were originally going to go with the Mr. Anderson had it at one point, the Miz has had it. This is the sort of person that can have it and talk absolute rubbish.
Sandow as well.
There we go. So I think it makes absolute sense, and I think the crowd
does make sense.
Bananas. So for me, LA Knight all day.
Done. Okay, back around to me then. All right, so let's go through. Let's do the usual. Go through the field thing. So. Butch, as much as it would be nice, I think the bigger pop for Butch would be if they announce him as Pete Dunne and he has the old bruiserweight music. I think that will be the bigger pop for Pete Dunne. Butch, I don't think he's going to win it. Nakamura, no, don't think he's going to win it. Santos Escobar, don't think he's going to win it. Then we get into Logan Paul, Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Rick O'Shea. So obviously Rick O'Shea being Irish. So Ricochet. See, I could see Lucas's point about with Ricochet. It makes a load of sense. Ricochet. It makes a lot of sense that the any belt thing. Because I'm not sure. Can someone check? Is Ricochet actually contracted to SmackDown? Because if Ricochet's contracted to SmackDown, not Raw, then. Oh no, he's on Raw because Samantha Irvin's on Raw.
Yeah, he's on Raw.
Yeah, so he's on Raw. So it will be Gunther, Seth Rollins, potentially that he would cash it. I guess, it doesn't really matter.
He could go over, but it's more likely it's on his own brand.
Yeah, it'll be on his own brand, I reckon. Damian Priest, obviously, we've already touched on the Judgment Day thing. But then it could even be a case of Priest wins it, and like Rob was saying with the Trish and Zoe thing, Priest wins it and then gives it to somebody else. Rhea could lose the title. He could give the briefcase to Rhea and say, "Hey, I cash it in for one of the women's titles." They said any title.
Oh gosh!
So, give it to Dom and let him cash in on Roman.
It's a possibility. Well, yeah.
See what they've created now.
Yeah, they've created this dodgy thing.
But we've been here before. They have done this before, and it meant nothing.
Yeah. I mean, Lucas, you might need to watch your back, mate. They might try and cash it on one of your shows if there's any title. Logan Paul. Now, I think if Logan Paul wins, there won't be an O2 left. I don't think. I think it would. See, I always hate it when they just put somebody in the match that's not had to qualify when every other person in the match has had to qualify. That is one of the things that really winds me up. Like, why could I not just literally rock up on Raw and be like, oh yeah, I'm in Money in the Bank?
Yeah, but I guess how you made it storyline with he's a big star, it's in his contract and all this kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, I
What's
guess
the visual of him having it and then drinking. I can just see him smashing.
But
Brian
like
Austin. And
the same reason why we all think there's a possibility Logan could do it, because what WWE see in that marketing potential wise is the same thing that is also true within storyline, especially now that he's more of a heel. You know, he's telling the truth there.
Honestly, the only other person, obviously, I know I said LA Knight. If LA Knight wasn't in it, the only other person I would say is literally more credible to win this title right now, even over Nakamura, who I love as well, is Logan Paul. So Logan Paul, if LA Knight don't win it, Logan Paul's winning it. That is I would even bonus point that, like, literally, because it makes sense. Like, it's such a, if it's LA Knight makes sense to me. Like, he's the perfect.
He's gonna win something at some point, right? He's gonna win the title. He's gonna win something. So it's happening at some point. Yeah,
but I mean, Logan Paul, people are going to be peed off that he's won. If he wins, let's say if he beat Roman or beat Seth or something like that, we've already discussed. I wouldn't mind him as a US title or the IC champion. But for him to have that Money in the Bank and be able to basically tease anytime I'm going to do that. Any promo he does, he's got Prime in his briefcase. He's got the briefcase on the side. To WWE, that is a marketing strategy. There's a massive W on it, for crying out loud. Like, it's going to be in sight all the time. That's what they want. So that's why I'm saying if it isn't LA Knight, it's going to be Logan Paul.
I think, though, with Logan Paul, you'd kind of want him to win it just to try and cash in on Gunther and just get the chopped out.
I think he's just going to hold it.
Just get chopped. So, okay, I think I'm about ready to lock in now, I think. So, weighing up all the options, I think it's going to be, for the reason I think as well that he's getting so over with management as well, and he's done so well recently, I think it's got to be Max Dupree. So, yeah, Max Dupree, LA Knight, is going to be Mr. Money in the Bank for 2023. So, Scott, finish it off.
Okay.
No pressure, mate.
I'm going to be hopefully a bit quicker than I was on a women's one, but my process of elimination starts with Santos Escobar not winning it. Then my next one out
is that because no one knows him?
Come on. Next one out is Pete Dunne or Butch, just because I think his moment is, look, if it was another point of his career, if it was Pete Dunne before and they'd kind of had a different trajectory on the main roster, I could see a scenario where this is the person you catapult into the next kind of level. And I do think, as much as Lucas said this is very mid-card, I feel like it kind of always is and should be. It's always about those ones that are going to break through. So in some recent years, it's been too stacked, in my opinion, as far as kind of people that have already won the title and stuff like that. So I quite like it, but I do get your point. There's still a few kind of names in there, but in another kind of life or something like that, you could see a scenario where Pete Dunne is a credible winner. But anyway, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we spoke to him a few moments back where he talked about the kind of merging of the character of Butch and Pete Dunne. So check that out if you haven't already. And again, we'll be doing a lot of Money in the Bank press coverage this weekend, of course, for more interviews, hopefully, as well. Anyway, going back to the match itself after the cheap plug. Speaking of cheap plugs, as Rob said, we got Prime to talk about when it comes to Logan Paul. I think he's going to stay in contendership for me. So is LA Knight. So is Damian Priest. And Nakamura's next to go out. Unfortunately, I think he's had a great kind of spell here or there last year or so. But ultimately, I don't think they're giving him the briefcase. Ricochet, I think, is in the match for the spots with Logan Paul. I don't think Ricochet's in the match to do it. But Lucas's thing there has swayed me a little bit. And I'm like, it's possible. And I like that, even though I like good for keeping it and going beyond Honky Tonk's reign and this, but there's so many scenarios of this, and that's why it's so cool. But I'm going to take Ricochet out of it. Going back, the obvious one, LA Knight. I think the one I'd most like to see is LA Knight. This one I'd second most like to see. If I was WWE, it'd be Logan. As a Brit, of course, it's Pete Dunne, but I've already kicked him out of it. And next up would be Damian Priest, because I think he's, in a bit of a dip, but I think recently he's done really well and been presented in quite a cool way as well. And I think the visual of Finn maybe winning, Rhea having a title, Damian Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and maybe that's the kind of split that we get in the future. You can hold the briefcase for a year, so who knows? Is a very tempting thing to me as well. But ultimately, I think LA Knight has to win it. But do I think they're going to pull the trigger on that? I think the issue is that WWE are going to think he doesn't have to win. He has to win it as far as the fans feel he has to win it, because we're like, you need to give us this moment. And at the same time, they've kind of already done that by putting him in this match in the first place. I said after WrestleMania, judging by the way they're looking at him at the moment, he ain't winning Money in the Bank. And for me, I think not like it's almost too drastic. It was there for us already, but it wasn't there for the Office, so to speak. So it's kind of a shock still if they would give it to him, in my opinion. I think his push doesn't necessarily need this. He could just be genuinely building up, and in about 2-3 months' time, get into a world title picture without the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think they might be thinking he's not quite ready, but yeah, we're ready to listen to the fans. But it's come at this awkward time where the fans want that. Not? I know that's what I mean, but the fans want it now. It's almost like the Daniel Bryan situation and other kind of scenarios like that. So I think it's kind of got to be LA Knight. Yeah, there's still something about me that thinks maybe Logan, or maybe
it's one of them, isn't it? I think it's LA Knight or Logan.
But I think Damian Priest in the Judgment Day is a great little thing as well. Yeah,
but then let's say, for example, Finn Balor beats Seth. Damian Priest then doesn't need that Money in the Bank.
I think as well, like Dan said, with the moments and like the heels and stuff like that, there needs to be fans going berserk. And I mean,
technically LA Knight's a heel though as well.
Yeah,
I'd call him a tweener.
He's
like Austin.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to double down. I think if he needs to double down as a heel with the briefcase and become face by winning it. Kind of a Dolph Ziggler type situation as well. So it's written in the stars, man. Like as a former wrestling pay-per-view theme song once said. So I'm gonna go with LA Knight.
Yeah.
Cool. So 3 of us for LA Knight, and just.
But it does feel too obvious.
Let me say that when you get your point, mate.
We know literally if it was Vince, it would be someone like a Santos Escobar or something, or it'll just be like.
No, I think Vince booking would go for Logan. I think it did the money. There's so much money there. As a case of Vince knows that end of the day, fans come back. There'll be all that cancel network and all that kind of stuff going on, but the same fans will still watch SummerSlam next month or whenever it is. It's annoying. Like Logan Paul is the smartest answer, but it's just I
wouldn't be that angry if Logan won it. I got to be honest. At the expense of LA Knight, maybe.
I think it depends.
That's what would make it worse.
Depends what else happens on the show, because obviously what you must weigh up with this is they can do. Look, Logan Paul can win, but it's like, can Logan Paul win alongside a poor choice, the women's Money in the Bank, alongside like Finn winning, and all these kind of moments that necessarily aren't going to be what the fans want.
The thing
if
is,
more than 2 or 3 of those, fans start getting. That's when the show turns on its head.
The thing,
like if Logan Paul winning is the only like kind of shock win, that's where you go, because it's like and you could argue, to be fair, that could go on last, because it is one of those endings of Hey Review you're never going to forget. Logan Paul and his bottle of Prime, having KSI on the ramp, holding on to one hand
with bottles of Prime hitting.
He put bottles of Prime in the briefcase.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
you did say there were loads at the Tesco next to the O2, so
it's good. Look, from a visual aspect, Logan having that, from a marketing point of view as well, Logan having that briefcase, just walking around with it. Obviously we know forward there's not a contract in there. Walking around with it, there's Prime. You could put a Prime logo on one side, the WWE Money in the Bank thing on the other side. You even get a custom like briefcase. It's a marketing genius for them to do it. If it's not LA Knight, it's bizarre if Logan doesn't win it. And I never thought I'd say
bottle
that.
with Money in the Bank written on it.
Look, I also think that, again, it feels like they're going to give him a title, and I think fans will be more annoyed at that unless they really work on the fans. So giving him this, at least it's not a title, and he might not win it, cash in, So there's that as well.
publicity for them it's obviously everyone wants to be talking about it. So the fact that, let's say, LA Knight is almost at the top, he almost gets it. Logan springboards from the ropes, lands on the ladder, knocks over LA Knight. Imagine if that did happen, right? I should have bonus pointed it. And then he gets it. People are going to be talking about Logan Paul won a title. It's going to be everywhere. So WWE is going to get so much publicity. If LA Knight doesn't get it, I think it makes sense for it to be Logan.
But then, they should equally get the publicity from a insert cool spot that he would do with obviously Trevor or with anyone in the match, to be fair. We talk about obviously Ricochet is obviously one of the most kind of spotty kind of wrestlers in that sense. But is there also just that
I think if he wins it, fans are going to be annoyed because he's won it. Certain fans are going to be annoyed because he's won it. But then if people are talking about it and moaning about it, Logan Paul's going to be trending on Twitter. It's going to be everywhere. So the fact that he's in the match and he does a good spot, great. But then how do you top that? He's already done a great spot with Ricochet. We see it at the Rumble and we spoke about it. That was one of the most spoke about.
Yeah, something's got to come.
So you have to be bigger than that. So if they do a big spot and then he wins it, there's 2 talking points. So I just think if they're not going to go with the obvious LA Knight, then I think it should be Logan.
To be fair, yeah, because what I was thinking is if Logan Paul was to win, his first kind of feud could be against Ricochet.
Yeah,
so they get their match down the line, and it could be maybe even be for the briefcase as well. And then they get that match with the spots. We're just kind of ticking a lot of these boxes on. And again, Logan Paul, similar to how we talked about with Trish, being part-time, he'll be able to kind of go away and come back into the product at a later date where the title scene will be much different.
Plus, with him being part-time, obviously he has other stuff and stuff like that. If all of a sudden, let's say, for example, Seth Rollins was down and you just heard Logan's music, it'll be a bigger shock. I think it'll be a massive pop like it was with the Ziggler one. I literally think that. So I think they have more
that it might happen. Yeah.
I mean, so there's obviously many different scenarios that could play out here at Money in the Bank. And obviously, we'll have a little bit more of a view as to what's going to happen potentially on Friday at SmackDown, which is actually at quite a normal time for us. It's on at 8 p.m. here in the UK. Actually on TV at 8 p.m.
Crazy
here in the UK. But yeah, so we are going to obviously try and get a little bit of press and coverage around SmackDown if we can. But then the next time we are back on this channel, I'm guessing will be for the live build-up to Money in the Bank.
Yeah, so we've got the build-up show, of course, as we do for all of our PLEs. This one is going to hopefully be a bit different because, we are going to have a crew around there in London. For Clash, we did that fan preview as well, so we're looking to do something like that. So if you want to be interviewed by us, let us know. We'd love to kind of bring you on the channel as well. Of course, you've been joining us on the predictions and preview, but the build-up is where we go into things a little bit more in depth, I guess, once SmackDown's out of the way. But as Dan said, we're going to be in town for SmackDown as well. We're going to be doing some interviews, hopefully with WWE superstars as well. So stick to us on this channel. Please subscribe. Check out the old content we already got here. Some great interviews from the past and other talking points with our predictions and build-ups and recap and review shows as well. We're also going to come out with live instant reactions, trying to get a vantage point from home and also from there in the arena as well. So if you're not there in person, we'd love to have you join us online as well. But yeah, just want to say thank you to everyone that's been with us tonight. I know it's been a long show. You can tell we're excited about the show. Maybe it's just our bias, guys, because it's in London. But it's 2.5 hours of talking wrestling. But it's been really fun. Hope you've all enjoyed it. And
past my bedtime as well, guys. Come on.
I know, I'm shocked. But yeah, I know I have, and it's because there are so many exciting scenarios. Not just for the Money in the Bank briefcase, but for a lot of these storylines as well, and potential even for returning superstars as well. So yeah, it's been a real pleasure, guys, and I can't wait to keep my motor mouth running for the rest of the week as well.
And obviously, we've got someone will climb a ladder and get a briefcase, but will anybody climb the ladder and retrieve some?
If they do, I'm kicking you down.
Scott will be the one at the top of the ladder, just chucking everyone off,
hitting you with my briefcase.
Yeah, whacking you with his briefcase. But yeah, I think that's probably we've gone 2.5 hours.
Ooh, Yeah, if you
So,
joined us late live, guys, go back and watch from the start. But
if you got spare 2.5 hours, thank you to you guys that have been here since the start and have stuck with us. But I think we covered each of the matches in quite a bit of depth, actually. So I'm sure when the video does eventually go out, there will be timestamps. So if you don't want to sit through the whole thing, then why not? But if you don't want to sit through all of it and you do want to go and just of course, on a specific match, then go back and you can we'll get the timestamps put up for you so you can go back.
I'm glad you're volunteering to do that, Dan, for us as well. Get the
I have an admin team that normally deal with all that stuff.
All right.
Normally sat over that side somewhere. But anyway, that is everything for this stream tonight, guys. But if you are in London, as we said, pop along, say hello to us, and let's do this, London. Let's show all over the world why WWE wanted to come back here and put Money in the Bank on here in old Blighty. So I guess the only thing to say in a typical British way is cheerio.
For half an hour.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.